நீ நீரா
நீராறும்
கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் வதனமென
வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அதிசிறந்த திராவிடன
திருநாடும்
திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு
தக்கல் சிறு பிறை
பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும்
தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே
திலகமுமே
அத்திலக
அத்திலக வாசனை
வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும்
அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற
இன்பமுற எத்திசையும்
எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே
தமிழனங்கே
உன்
உன் சீரெழுமை
சீரெழுமை தீரம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து
சிறந்து வாழ்த்ததுமே
வாழ்த்துதுமே
வாழ்த்துதுமே
வாழ்த்துதுமே.
வாழ்த்துதுமே.
நன்றி. ரஞ்சித் ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. ரஞ்சித் லைவ் போயிடலாங்களா?
ஓகேங்க, போயிடலாம்.
நான் உங்களுக்கு ஹோஸ்ட்
நீங்க
மாத்தி
எனக்கு ஹோஸ்டா மாத்திருங்க.
மாத்திடலாம். லைவ் போகுதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
லைவ் போயிருச்சுங்க, நீங்க ஆரம்பிக்கலாம்.
ஓகே. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். கடந்த 2-3 மாதங்களாக வந்து நம்ம பெக்கி மோகன் அவங்க எழுதின ஃபாதர் டங் அண்ட் மதர்லேண்ட் அந்த புத்தகத்தை படித்தோம். அதை தொடர்ந்து அவங்களோட ஒரு கேள்வி பதில் கலந்துரையாடலும் வச்சுட்டோம். ஆசிரியர் பெக்கி மோகன் அவங்களோட. ஆனால் அந்த புத்தகத்தை படித்து முடிக்கும் போது வந்து நமக்கு எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்ச ஒரு விஷயம் என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா வந்து ஒரு மொழியை வந்து ஒரு மொழியோட வளர்ச்சி எவல்யூஷன் அதெல்லாம் பார்க்கணுன்னா வந்து பெகி மோகன் அவங்க எடுத்துக்கிட்ட டூல்னு பார்த்தோம்னா அது அந்த மொழிக்குரிய கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ஸ் அது நிறைய விஷயங்களை வந்து அவங்க எடுத்துக்கிட்டாங்க. எஸ்ஓவி ஆர்டராக இருக்கட்டும், எர்காவிட்டியாக இருக்கட்டும், ரெட்ரோஃப்ளெக்ஷன், ரேடியோப்ளிகேஷன் அந்த மாதிரி வந்து நிறையா நியூமரிக்கல் கிளாசிஃபையர்ஸ்னு நிறைய கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ஸை வந்து அவங்க உபயோகப்படுத்தி ஒவ்வொரு மொழியோட வளர்ச்சியை வந்து அவங்களோட புத்தகத்தில் வந்து சொல்லியிருந்தாங்க. அப்போ அதை முடிக்கும் போது வந்து ஒரு தெளிவு இல்லாமல் தான் இருந்தது. அதாவது வந்து அந்த கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ஸோட டெஃபினிஷன்ஸ்க்கு வந்து ஒரு தெளிவு இல்லாமல் இருந்தது. இன்னைக்கோட நிகழ்ச்சியோட முக்கியத்துவம் என்னன்னா வந்து அந்த முக்கியமான ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ஸ் கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ஸை எடுத்துட்டு அதை கொஞ்சம் டீட்டெயில்டாக பார்க்குறதுக்கு வந்து இன்னைக்கு 5 பேரும் வந்து முன் வந்திருக்காங்க. அவங்க எல்லாரையும் வரவேற்கிறேன். வணக்கம். நிகழ்ச்சியின் முதலாவதாக ஸ்ரீதேவி வந்து பேசுவாங்க. அவங்க பேசுறது வந்து எஸ்ஓவி ஆர்டர், எர்காவிட்டி அண்ட் நியூமரிக்கல் கிளாசிஃபையர்ஸ் இது 3 பற்றி பேசுவாங்க. ஸ்ரீதேவி.
எல்லோருக்கும் வணக்கம். ஸோ எஸ்ஓவி அப்படிங்கிறது நம்ம இப்போ வந்து சப்ஜெக்ட் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் வேர்பில் வந்து அதோட ஃபுல் ஃபார்ம். ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா பிரான்ச்சஸ் ஆஃப் லிங்குவிஸ்டிக்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிற இதில் நம்ம பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா நம்ம ஃபொனெட்டிக்ஸ், ஃபொனாலஜி, மார்ஃபாலஜி அண்ட் இட் கம்ஸ் டு சின்டாக்ஸ். ஸோ சின்டாக்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இதுக்குள்ளே தான் இந்த வேர்ட் ஆர்டர் அப்படிங்கிற அந்த எஸ்ஓவி பேட்டர்ன்ஸ் நம்மளுக்கு வருது. அதாவது சப்ஜெக்ட், வேர்ட் அண்ட் ஆர்டர். subject, verb and object. இதை பற்றி சொல்கிறது தான் இந்த syntax. ஸோ இந்த லிங்குவிஸ்டிக்ஸில் இந்த சின்டாக்ஸில் இந்த பர்டிகுலர் வேர்ட் ஆர்டரை பற்றி we are going to discuss. So first, if you are going to see what is word order அப்படிங்கிறப்ப, it is mainly dealing with your subject, object and the verb. So these are the three primary focus that we give to the word order. When you change the subject, object and the verb, so there are 6 possible word orders that we have. So these are the 6 possible word orders. So the first one we go with she, subject, object and a verb. Then it comes to subject, verb and an object. So these are the patterns you can see, like she, him, loves. So these are she loves him, so love, she, him. So these are the different. So most of the South Asian languages follow the subject, object and the verb order. So this is what is the dominant word order that you have. So when you see SOV, that is subject, object, verb, is the dominant word order you have. So when you take this subject, object, verb, it comes up to 41% for the languages in this world. Then comes your SVO pattern. So these are some of the languages. So most of the South Asian languages, the Indo-Aryan as well as the Dravidian languages, they follow the SOV pattern. And then comes your English. Then these are some of the examples you have here. But when you see, the SOV is the single most common order. And they are preferably saying that it is the older and the ancestral preference. So now when we are talking about the subject, object, verb, so let's see how it differs. So I am in the house. So here you have your subject, then you have your verb and then your object. So and almost your SVO will always have your prepositions. And then comes your SOV, both your Dravidian as well as your Indo-Aryan languages, they follow the SOV pattern. And SOV patterns we have to remember is that they follow the postpositions. நான் வீட்டில் இருக்கிறேன். அப்போ நான்கிறது சப்ஜெக்ட், வீட்டில் ஆப்ஜெக்ட், வித் யோர் இல் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து இட் இஸ் யோர் போஸ்ட் பொசிஷன், அதாவது நம்மளோட மார்க்கர்ஸ். தென் கம்ஸ் ஆர் verb, இருக்கிறேன். ஸோ கமரே மே ஹே, அப்போ அப்படிங்கிறது ஹி, கமரே அப்படிங்கிறது இட் இஸ் அகெயின் யோர் ஆப்ஜெக்ட், மே அப்படிங்கிறது போஸ்ட் பொசிஷன். Then comes your, so in that la why are we combining SOV with your preposition and the postposition? So since we saw it is always dealing with your syntax. So this all comes hand in hand together. So this is your prepositions. In SVO will almost have your prepositions, but there is one language we have been identified in Indus Valley which has both preposition as well as the postposition. Now, so now it comes like postpositions. So veetil, so Malayalam also has the same thing, Hindi also has the same thing. So your noun will come, that is your noun, then comes your postposition. But in your English, if it will always be in the house, it will be always in the preposition order. Now let's see how this subject, order, verb and the postposition comes in. So மேஜ் மே, ஸோ மேஜை மேலே, அப்போ இங்கே மேசையில். ஸோ தென் தோஸ்த் கோ, மேஜ் பர் மேஜை மீது. அப்போ இங்கே மே, கோ, பர் இது எல்லாமே இட் இஸ் ஆல் யோர் கேஸ் மார்க்கர்ஸ் விச் இஸ் கம்மிங் இன் த போஸ்ட் பொசிஷன்ஸ். அறையில் இன் தமிழ், நண்பனுக்கு இல், ஐயாளுக்கு இன்னது கண். ஸோ it all comes as a suffix. But in English, it is always a preposition, in the room. So now when we see all the languages, that is the languages which we are considering in the Indus Valley periphery, they all have the SOV patterns. So Punjabi, Sindhi, Pashto, Brahui and Barushaki and SOV languages. And now we are comparing it with the Sanskrit language. So when we are comparing it, What is the difference between, so we saw SOVs will have the postpositions, and then we are comparing it with the Sanskrit language. So what is that? Even Sanskrit is also an SOV. But what is the difference between Sanskrit and the Dravidian? So that is the flexibility. So when we see, so we saw that every post positions will have your markers, case markers. So when I'm saying Ramak Pustakam Padti, இங்க ராமக், இந்த ராமக், அந்த pustakam. So with the object you have a case marker. Then the ram is not just ram, it is ramak. So that is a ah. So your noun is also specified with a case marker. Your object is also having a case marker. So in whichever order you change, this is ram pustakam padti. So subject, object and a verb. Now the SOV has a pattern where it can change as pustakam ramak padti. So this is also valid in Sanskrit because the object is identified with the case ending pustakam. So wherever you put the object, you can identify where is the object. So this is some flexibility you see in Sanskrit as well as in some of the Indo-European languages. Now when we come, so you may ask, is this flexibility not in Tamil? Let's see that also. Ram புத்தகத்தை வாசிக்கிறான். So subject, புத்தகத்தை object, வாசிக்கிறான் verb. Now, can I write புத்தகத்தை Ram வாசிக்கிறான்? Yes, but the flexibility, but usually we don't do it. The flexibility is always such that it is less flexible and less common than in Sanskrit. So you can change the order, but the order flexibility is not as flexible as in Sanskrit. So you can call Sanskrit as a very highly flexible language where you can change the SOV patterns. Whereas it is very low in Tamil that we do speak புத்தகத்தை ராம் வாசிக்கிறான், but usually we don't encourage that order. Now let's take in English. Ram reads the book. When you change the SOV order, the book reads Ram just completely changes the meaning. So what do we understand from here is, when you have a case marker with your subject or the object, the flexibility of changing the SOV pattern and the SVO pattern is always there. But some languages is very flexible like Sanskrit, which wherever you put the order, you can easily identify. But there is very less flexibility in some languages like Tamil. So this is what we see in the SOV order. So see, these are some of the facts from Peggy Morgan's book, which says we saw almost all the languages has the SOV pattern, but it is not found in Kashmiri and in Kasi. And SOV languages always have the post positions. We saw some of the examples. And even Burusaki and Brahui also have the post positions. But now when we come to Balochi, though we call it as an Iranian language, it has both a mix of prepositions and the post positions, which we can remember these as some of the facts. Now, the next topic is ergativity. And we do remember, so for ergativity, let's come. We'll see some of the markers before we get into the ergativity. So we already saw what are case markers. So case marker is nothing but it can be a suffix or a prefix that is just that shows your grammatical feature of a word. So now I am saying avanai. So avanai abdingiradha, I abdingiradha, this is a case marker. We say it as a case marker. Then you have parthen. In that ten is your tense marker. Marangal, here you have the plural marker. So why is these markers very important is for the next two topics, these markers are very foundational to understand what actually these talks with. Now see, these are some of the noun markers and these are the verb markers. And then we saw the relationship markers, that is connecting two words, that is your postpositions, then the prepositions. So these are some of the noun markers. And these are the verb markers. And then we saw the relationship markers, that is connecting two words, that is your postpositions, then the prepositions. Now Now, these are some of the examples. If you want, you can just take in what is all these markers based on. So now let's understand what is ergativity. Now we already saw the SOV pattern. So SOV pattern is you have a subject and you have an object. Now when we talk about ergativity, we have to always take in consideration what is the sentence. Is it having an object or it doesn't have an object? So when it has two things, that is when it has an object, you call it as a transitive sentence, and then if it has no object, you call it as an intransitive. So now let's compare with English. So the language we are comparing is with English and Tamil. So now let's take English. So what do you feel should be an English language? So is it an ergativity? Does it has ergativity? No, it doesn't have ergativity. It is just a nominative accusative language. So it has a subject and an object. So what that means is your subject is treated the same way even if it has an object or if it doesn't have an object. So it is called as a nominative accusative where the subject is always treated the same way. But what happens in your ergative absolutive language, or otherwise it's called an ergativity language. So here the subject is not treated the same way when your object is present. So let's remember like that. So your sentence is always divided like whether a sentence has an object or not. And if it has an object, it is treated a different way. And that treatment of different way, let's call it as an ergativity. Now let's come here. So till now we were seeing the subject as the doer of the action. Now let's call that role as an agent. So when a subject becomes an agent is when you add a marker to the subject. So now let's see. She ate the apple. Here let's call she instead of an doer, we call that she as an agent for us to understand much more simpler as what ergativity is. So instead of calling this she as an agent, as a subject, I am calling it, let's call it as an agent. So agent is nothing but a person, the doer. So here you have the object. She ate the apple. But here she slept. Does it has an object? So the object is not there. So the apple hit her. So now is there an object? Yes, there is an object. So this two, she is we call it as nominative. Here when the position changes, now the apple hit her. So her becomes an here it is not the main doer. The apple becomes the main. So now we call this as accusative. So sorry. So the person doing the action is always in the nominative case. So we never mark, there is no marking in the case. So such type of languages, we call it as nominative accusative language where the subject is always treated the same. Now let's come to Tamil. So now Tamil we know has the markers வேற்றுமை உறுப்புக்கள். Now nominative and accusative cases. So எழுவாய் வேற்றுமை. Now கண்ணன் பழத்தை சாப்பிட்டான். Kannan ate the fruit. இங்க கண்ணன் பழத்தை சாப்பிட்டான். Here you have a subject as well as an object. But now instead of calling Kannan as an subject, we let us call him as an agent. So we'll understand why it's called as an agent later. So instead of subject, we are calling as an agent. Agent is nothing but the one who's doing the action. Kannan vandan. Here also there is a no object, but still Kannan is same. There is no change in the word Kannan. It is the same. So whether Kannan is eating or simply coming, intransitive, there is no object. The word Kannan remains in its base. There is no change in it. So we call such type of languages as nominative accusative languages. Now let's take with the இரண்டாம் வேற்றுமை the same thing. So கண்ணன் பழத்தை சாப்பிட்டான். இங்க வந்து பழம். So that Palattai. So only the object is changing. So since the subject is same, we are calling it as nominative, and here accusative, because there is only the change in the object. The marker goes only to the object. So nominative, even if there is an object or no object, your subject remains the same. So you call it as a nominative, but your object will take a case marker. So there we call it as accusative. Now let's go to the ergative absolutive language. So we saw what is English language. It is a nominative accusative. Tamil is also a nominative accusative. Now let's differentiate what is called an ergative language. So we already saw ergative languages. We classify it as having an object and not an object. So that is transitive and intransitive. So she brings the food to him. So she is an ergative, brings the food to him, it becomes absolutive. So the person doing a directed action. Now she simply eats. So it's just the eater is there. Now, who is doing an action, we are giving a special marker when there is an object. So now let's see this. So standard languages, I see the cat, I saw the cat. It's always like your verb will agree only with the subject. Yes. Now when you see the ergative languages, the subject will change. So first is your change to a passive sentence. So Peggy Morgan discussed this, how a split ergativity could have come in northern languages. So before that, let's see what is ergative. So this I will get translated into by me, ennal. So it will change as ennal. So it is similar to your passive voice. So the subject is taking a case marker. But in Tamil, palattai, only the object took the case marker. But here the subject is taking a case marker in ergative languages. Now, the saw, this is changing into was seen. It is becoming as a participle, past participle. But the object remains the same. So this is type of an where your verb is agreeing with the object. Now here we saw the verb is agreeing with the subject. See, I saw the cat. So saw is agreeing with your subject, whereas in ergative language, your verb is agreeing with your object. So we have to see the verb is agreeing with the object. Now, there is again two types of ergativity, that is full ergativity and split ergativity. And we need to understand that split ergativity is only found in Indian languages, that is in northern Indian languages. Not in Dravidian, ergativity is not found. And this full ergativity is found in most of the other South Asian languages as well as in some of the African languages. Now, what is the difference in full ergativity is that this type of things are seen in all tenses. But in split ergativity, this is only seen in past tense. So split is something where it is only seen in the past tense. So now we have to understand ergativity is similar to your passive sentence, but in passive sentence, there is a change in your participle. That is your verb. There is a change in how you see the verb. And now in the ergativity, the verb will always agree with the object. But in full, there are some cases where the verb even agrees with your subject. That is called the double marking, which we saw in the Munda languages. Now, let's see the example of what is this actual split ergativity we see in Hindi. So now you see ladka soya. So here again we saw that is there any object here? There is no object. So when there is no object, there is no special markers coming in. So it is still a nominative case, as in Tamil. Now let's come to a past tense. In past tense, the boy ate the food. So this is where you have an object. So there is an object present. So when there is an object present, then you have to, there is a change in the, it will change like a passive voice, but it's not a passive voice because a participle is different. So let's see here. Ladke kana kaya. So it came ladka soya. The boy slept. There is no special markers. But here, when you say ladke kana kaya, so kana is food. So this food is the object. So this ladke ne kana kaya, this verb is agreeing with your food. So food, as we see here, you have to understand that our Tamil language is not a gendered language. So we can say, no, we have agrine, uyarthine agrine, but still it is a natural gender, and natural gender languages are not considered as gender language. So here to differentiate, let's say like Tamil doesn't have language, doesn't have a gender, but it's called as a natural gender. But generally, when you say a language as a gender, all nouns are classified into masculine, feminine. So any language where the nouns are classified, any objects, any nouns are classified is called as a grammatical gender. So when we see that Sanskrit and many of the Indo-European languages as well as the Prakrit languages, Hindi, so all are, they are gendered languages. So gender is now as per Hindi, kana is a male, the object is, the food is a male. So kaya, the verb is agreeing with your object. Now again there is an marker here. So here there is a marker which shows that this ne is agreeing with your, there is a special marker. So we have to understand. So a sentence should be with an object, and if it is with an object, then it will be converted into a passive voice. But ergativity is not passive voice because there will be a markers that are special markers, and the verb is always agreeing uh, with your object, not with your noun, as in Tamil. So English is always, it is grouping your doers together, whereas in ergativity languages always groups the receivers. So the receiver, whoever is receiving it, they are grouped together. So, and the active agent. So this is how they call the active agent. When there is an actor and the agent is doing, the subject is doing, we are just separating the active agent, the doer, from the action. Now this is what Peggy Morgan talks a lot in the chapter 3. So how could Hindi be come into a split ergative, whereas there are other languages which are of full ergative languages? So we saw Hindi takes ergativity only in the past tense. So when you see the Vedic Sanskrit did not have ergativity at all. So there is no ergativity. They just have Devadatta Pustakam Adat. That is Devadatta Pustakam. We already saw is a marker for the subject. Pustakam is a marker for your object. So this is how it was. But what happened? She's saying like that the Prakrits or the substratum language, they always like to talk the languages as by me, ennal seyyappattadu. So the Sanskrit started to take some of the substratum uh, um, grammar, and it later modified itself into split ergativity. So here, Devadattena Pustakam Datam. So this is the marker we are seeing. Here this is Devadatta, just Devadatta. But here Devadattena. So this A. So there is a case marker which is getting added with the Devadatta. So this is how she's saying, like for the easiness, since the people were not able to get into very complex system of Sanskrit, they wanted a much more easier system which was already taking place in the substratum languages. So they automatically converted, they wanted to follow the rules of Sanskrit, but within the boundary of Sanskrit, already there was a passive voice in Sanskrit. So it was very easy for the Prakrits to adopt to the, just get into the boundary of the Sanskrit rule, still keeping bounding to the Sanskrit rule, but they made that passive voice and they gave that only in the past tense. So that is how split ergativity came. So, so this we saw this ergativity and the gender always goes hand in hand. So this is where we see, this is for the next numerical classifiers. This is very needed, very much needed. So when you see that Sanskrit has a three grammatical gender, we already saw Dravidian languages doesn't classify noun based on genders, but the Indo-European languages, they are gender, they are mostly of gender classification languages where every noun has a masculine or a feminine attached to it. So this slide is where it says like your Sanskrit languages had full grammars. There was always a three-way grammar, whereas the Magadhan, Munda, Asiatic as well as the Dravidian did not have grammatical genders. So now this is what we saw, like your grammatical, when Western Indo-Aryan languages had grammatical gender as well as ergativity, whereas Magadhan languages, there was no grammatical gender. So as we say, that was just an animate and a non-animate. So they have lost the grammatical gender. And there was no ergativity, as well as the Dravidians did not have ergativity as well as the grammatical gender. Now we'll come to the subject object marker. So when the marker, when the suffix get into a subject, it's called a subject marker. When the same comes, attaches with your object, it is called the object marker. And we already saw the case markers, that is I, al, ku, inna, adukan. This all gets always attached to your noun phrases. And there are agreement markers that sometimes agree with your subject or the object. We'll see what are these agreement markers. Now let's see. So, avan avalukku malarai kodukkiran. So here avan. So that is, we see no case markers here. So we call it as subject and it is a nominative. Avalukku. So here we have a case marker. Ukku. Then malarai. There is one more case marker. I. Then kodukkiran. So here it comes this kodukkiran. This is an agreement marker which agrees with your avan, which agrees with your subject. So these are some of the markers we have here. Now let's see in English. He saw me. So we see no marker here, just the nominative. There is no change here. Whereas when avan ennai parthan, here there is a avan. There is no marker here. But here the object gets a ennai. So I, there is a marker in your object. Now this Santali and all these have some things called as clitics. So these are some of the things which gets attached to your subject as well as an object. So here you, in English there is no markers both in your subject as well as an object. Whereas in Tamil you have a marker attached to your object. So case suffix on the noun. And here you have in languages, Munda languages, you have both attachment to your subject as well as your object. Now this is what you call, let's take one example here. I saw three big cows. So here in Santali, this is in Pia Maran. So it comes in like this. So Peggy just classifies it here. So I in, so the subject is same. There is no marker here. Whereas Pia, so this is nothing but three. So Pa is 3, but Iya is your numerical classifier. So the number takes a classifier. Now, Maran is big. So it doesn't take any classifier here. And I want you to always know that some of the languages we were talking here, sometimes they even change, the adjectives also change with your uh, gender. So there are some achi ladki, acha ladka. So Hindi takes where your adjective also changes with your gender. Whereas Tamil does not have like that. Nalla payyan, nalla pen. அப்படிதான் சொல்லுவோம். அந்த நல்ல அப்படிங்கிற அந்த அஜெக்டிவ் வந்து மாறாது. வாட் எவர் பி யோர் ஜெண்டர் இட் டசன்ட் சேஞ்ச். பட் தெர் ஆர் லாங்குவேஜஸ் வேர் அச்சா லடுக்கா, அச்சி லடுக்கி. ஸோ யோர் ஜெண்டர், யோர் அஜெக்டிவ்ஸ் ஆல்சோ சேஞ்சஸ் வித் யோர் ஜெண்டர். So here there is no change in the adjective. Then your object is same. Now this is what is she's calling us a very complex. Munda is very heavy loaded with your markings. Now let's see here. This nay means saw. So this verb is taking so many markers here. So as we saw, பார்க்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்றப்ப அந்த கிரேன் அப்படிங்கிறது டென்ஸ் மார்க்கர். பார்க்கிறேன், பார்க்கிறோம், பார்த்து கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். அப்ப அந்த root verb is the same. Here it takes same tense marker as in Tamil, but object marker. So this object marker is agreeing with your object. So what is your object? The guy. Then you have a finite marker, then your subject marker. This N is again a subject marker which is agreeing with your subject. So when you see the verb is so complex that it takes a tense marker, then the verb has to agree with your object and it has to agree with your subject as well as. So this is called as double marking. So you have both a subject and an object marker. Sorry, I think it's too complex, but I don't know how to go about. So now let's take in, so we saw one example. Now this is the numerical classifier. So the number, we saw already the number will have a classifier. So this is how we saw in the 5th chapter. So these are the you will have a numeral and then suffix. So இப்போ நான் 3 எருதுகளை பார்த்தேன் அப்படின்னா அந்த 3க்கு எந்தவித சேஞ்சும் வராது. 3 3ஆ தான் இருக்கும். ஆனா இங்க வந்து அந்த 3க்கு அந்த பி யா அந்த 3ஓட ஒரு சஃபிக்ஸ் வந்து கூட சேருது. So that is what is called as a numerical classifier. So numerical classifier, you have it in Austroasiatic languages, you have it in Magadhan language, you have it in Munda language, but it's not found in Indo-Aryan languages. ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம இதில் தமிழில் பார்த்துடலாம். 2 சகோதரர்கள் இருந்தார்கள். அப்போ இந்த 2 அப்படிங்கிறது எந்த மாற்றமும் வரதில்லை. அதே மாதிரி தோ பாயி தே, அப்போ தோ பாயி அப்படிங்கிறது த நம்பர் ரிமைன்ஸ் த சேம். ஆனால் வென் இட் கம்ஸ் டு போஜ்புரி, தூங்கிறது நம்பர். தூ கோ பாயி ரக்ஸ்தன் ரகசன். ஸோ இந்த தூ கோ அப்படிங்கிறது அந்த கோ, அந்த தூங்கிறது நியூமரல், வேறஸ் கோ இஸ் யோர் classifier. So this is called as a numeral classifier. So the same comes for your Santali also. So this is what we see, like with a classifier and without a classifier. She has and numerical classifier are not in Indo-European languages. So we have to understand. So they are not existing in Sanskrit as well. So these are the gender numerical classifiers. Again will be based on your animate and inanimate objects. That's why we saw in gender classifications. So here if you have 2 separate glasses of water, 2 is 2, whereas it takes a marker along with it. Teen go bara gai, teen is the number, whereas go is again a marker. And the marker will again change based on your whether it is a human, whether it is a cow. So it again changes based on the noun forms. So that is what we see in Bengali. So Bengali, it has I saw 3 big cows. Again there is a classifier. Odia has a classifier. So Assami has 20 classifiers. So which says like For every different nouns, the classifier will again change. The classifier will not alone change for the numeral, it will also change for the object that we are mentioning about. So numerical classifiers are not present in this. So this is a path finally Peggy is describing, like Munda languages got the numerical classifiers from the Southeast Asian languages. Then it came to Magadhan languages. So this is how Magadhan languages acquired this numerical classifiers. So this is an example she's giving in each of these languages, where the numerical class, I think you're able to see the numerical classifier Gota, Tita, Joni. So these are the numerical classifiers we have. Now, we already saw the split ergativity. So Hindi has this split ergativity. Sorry, I think this slide has to come before. Now, so this is the final grammatical gender we were talking about. So these are the grammatical genders are found in Sanskrit. From there it came to Hindi. Then natural genders are mentioning like you don't have gender at all. So natural gender, we say it is gender, but actually it is no gender. So all the Dravidian languages, though we say agrinai, uyartinai, as per the linguistic concepts, it's called no grammatical. They don't have grammar, but here we can mention it as a natural gender. Now, coming to Burusaki. So we are combining all these, whatever we saw, 3 chapters, numerical classifier, ergativity, as well as the gender, we are showing it. Now we'll take the Burusaki. So here, Burusaki has full ergativity, whereas Hindi has ergativity only in the past tense. That is, it is taking the case markers only in the past tense when an object is found, but Burusaki has a full ergativity in all 3 tenses. Then they have 4 genders. It is just 4 genders, and again it has a double marking. So we saw by me, it will take the double marking will be based, it will agree both with your subject as well as with the object. Now, this is what how the split ergativity would have come. She's saying the language X would have got a full ergativity and the verb would have always agreed with the object. Now in Tamil we have to remember the verb always agrees with your subject. So when Prakrit, which did not have a ergativity, but it still had the participle. They already had the passive tense, that is passive voice. So this both collided, and that is why we have split ergativity, which is only found in the northern, the whole of languages, in the whole of the language system. Split ergativity is only found in the northern languages. So then she's saying like she's saying different language Brahui, which is no, it doesn't have grammatical gender as well as no ergativity. But still, we are considering it as a Dravidian cousin, where she is asking us to think why is it so. Now, language X, as per her thing, it will have a full ergativity like Burusaki. Then it will have a natural gender system. Again, we are saying natural gender system. So that is no gender system. Natural gender system is no gender system like Dravidian languages. Whereas Sanskrit, we have to remember, is always having a grammatical gender. Then it should agree with your verb centric. But we have to see like always the Dravidian languages have agreement always with your the gender always agrees with your subject. Then you have the object marking. So she says this could be the profile of language X, and I think I can stop it here. So these are sorry, I think I took a very long time. Sorry.
That was very good. That was very good. You clarified a lot of things that were so cloudy and blurry in the past. Very, very well done.
ஸ்ப்ளெண்டிட்மா ரொம்ப நல்லா பண்ணியிருந்தீங்க. ஐ திங்க் உங்களுக்காக ஒரு 3 மணி நேரம் ஒதுக்கி வச்சிருக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நல்லா பண்ணீங்க.
We could have gone into a lot of discussions too, but let's proceed.
Or if Lika She has talked a lot, right? யாருக்காவது கேள்வி இருந்தா இப்பயே கேட்டதுதான் நல்லதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஏன்னா அடுத்த டாபிக் போயிட்டோம்னா
I think more than the questions, Sridevi has cleared a lot of doubts. There were a lot of places where, the little mist that was around that was lifted up and the clarity was there. So thank you so much, Sridevi. A lot of hard work. It is very, very, her slides also, we could understand very much. So
No, actually, these are only basics. I think we have to explore more. Actually, she talks a lot, and I think we have a lot to explore.
I
These are
think
just basic.
you are familiar with Hindi as well, and that's a big plus for you to understand most of these features.
அப்படின்னா இப்ப குவிஸ் வைக்கலாமா எவ்வளவு புரிஞ்சிருக்குன்னு?
Actually, I thought of including quiz also, but I thought, okay, it will run, time will run off, so.
அது இன்னொரு நாளைக்கு வைக்கலாம் குவிஸ்.
அடுத்து போயிடலாமா?
I think so.
சுபத்ரா, நீங்க பேசுறீங்களா?
one second. Is it seen?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello all, and great to see you all on another forum. Thank you so much, Sridevi, for the initial talk, and it's a very good start. And it was intense, but the material that she handled, 3 aspects of grammatical orders, was really an intense subject, and she did it with so much, eloquence and clarity, and thank you so much again. So after this intense session, you can just relax, because reduplication is actually a very fun part of grammar. And the more I read about it, we all use reduplication in our daily lives, both in English and in Tamil, if you're a Tamil speaker, as I am. But when I started reading, I was just in awe looking at these languages that have developed this form of a minor grammatical beauty, but which adds a lot of depth, intricacy to the language in order to explain or explicitly speak their emotions mostly. So reduplication actually helps in explaining or showing the emotions of the speaker. And I always thought, and I agree still, that speaking of a language first was originated before writing, and reduplication actually helps that a lot, because a speaker can be very clear in communicating with the person that he is speaking to. So reduplication, as you see here, it's a small cartoon which says, I'm up. We can understand that. And when he says, I'm just not up, the depth in what he means. He's up, he's awake, but he's not actually up from the bed. So that's what reduplication is in a nutshell for you. And this reduplication is the most important way of how words were formed in a language. It helped in the language development, and it also helped in various grammatical or semantic nuances. We know what grammatical nuances is, but what is semantics? Semantics is, it refers to the subtle shades, variations, and deeper layer of meaning that, one second. Meaning that goes into the literal definition. And then reduplication also enriches expressive capabilities, and it highlights complexity, the language adaptability, and intricate nature of the language. So if you take reduplication, it can be both morphological and lexical. Morphological, it's just taking a whole word and doubling it. Like padi padi in Tamil, which means padi is reading, or when you say padi padi, it just tells a person to read with more intensity or with more concentration. So that is morphological reduplication, where the word or the stem or the root of the word is doubled. And lexical reduplication is when only the part of the word, or just the syllable alone, or only the sound of the word is reduplicated. And lexical reduplication can fall into echo formation, compounds, or word reduplication. Now, when you take echo formation, like in English, the easiest that we say is book shook, hocus pocus, teeny weeny. These are all the common words that we use. So it's just the echo of the first word. And in Tamil, it is like puli kili, maadu keedu, sapadu keepadu. We just put a marker, like a key in front of the word, and it becomes an echo of the first word. Now, when you take compounds that are reduplicated, it's like hodgepodge, itsy bitsy. There's absolutely no meaning, but we are just making up words. We are just reduplicating or compounding one single word. Then in word duplication, we have complete, partial, or I want to minimize this because it's covering my... How do I minimize, Bama, the screen? All your videos are there, hiding half of my screen.
There would be one tab, like it would be a drag drop list, so you can minimize.
Yeah, I got it. This one. Yes, now thank you so much. Thank you, Bama. So in word duplication, you have a complete, partial, and discontinuous. In the complete, it's the whole word that is reduplicated. That is tervukku teru, avasara avasaramaga, avasara avasaramaga ponar, vara varam, thembi thembi aludal. All these are complete words in Tamil. And then partial, we will come to that in the next few slides. And in discontinuous, it is vidadu vidadu, seyyavillai seyyavillai, meaning the words are reduplicated with little markers in it. So reduplication actually is common amongst all world languages. The only thing is the intrinsicity of the reduplication and how much words have been reduplicated and used, and what parts of the grammatical order in the language has been reduplicated is the difference in all these languages. So if you take into consideration this portion that we have been so far focusing on through the book that we have read, we see that reduplication is completely there all over, from Afghanistan that speaks Pashto, Baluchi, Burshasky, all the way up to Southeast Asia. But if you see this portion, the middle, where India is along with part of Pakistan, you see these are where the verbs get reduplicated. And then that makes the language more beautiful, more intrinsic, and the intensity is more elevated. So in Tamil, we are all familiar with the reduplication, which is adukku thodar and irattai kilavi. Irattai kilavi is, that the same word is repeated, but when you separate the words, they don't make any meaning. Like sala sala vena odiyadu. When you split sala and sala, we don't get an actual meaning. Gada gada, sada sada, pada pada, all these are irattai kilavi. But whereas adukku thodar, which is the actual reduplication that we are speaking about now, is where words or parts of words, syllables, or their phonetic sounds are put one over the other to make an actual meaning. That is adukku thodar. So as the slide reads, if I read it back to you in Tamil, it is oru sol, viraivu, vehuli, uvagai, acham, துன்பம், அசைநிலை, இசைநிறை முதலிய காரணம் பற்றி 2 முதல் 4 முறை அடுக்கி வருவது அடுக்குத் தொடர் எனப்படும். வந்த சொல்லே திரும்பவும் வரும் என்பதறிக. So the same soul is repeated again. What is beautiful is, this is what I'm reading is not what was written 100 years back or 200 years back, but it was quoted in Nannul, which is a Sangam literature. So that shows how well developed or how our people were getting the hang of the Tamil words that they could build upon and make the language more beautiful. And that is probably one of the reasons that they could produce such beautiful poetries and the Ilakyangal and all the lovely, the Ilakanam and Kapyangal that we have, because the language was so very well developed. So here, if you have, they say that there are in the Adukuthodar in Tamil, there are 3 things that we have to consider. That is the Asai Nilai, then the Porul Nilai, and the Isai Nilai. Now, Asai, these are all meters. So Asai Nilai is Asai Nilai is actually when they add O, A, or A to the actual word. Like if we Andru is a word which means that day, but if I add A to it and make it Andre, then that becomes an Asai Nilai. Now in Porul Nilai, it is basically take the word and double it twice or thrice, and that shows an action or an emotion, like va va, po po po. And then in Isai Nirai, it is majorly used only for poetries and music, where they use words just to fill, so they get a proper meter to that poem. Like Nalgume, 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 Namagal. So here there is 3 times. Padugo, 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 Padugo. That is again the same word, but that is repeated 4 times. But what is beautiful is they have a formula to this, and they've written that in a beautiful 2-line Venba. Asai Nilai, Porul Nilai, Isai Niraithu, Oru Sol, 2, 3, 4 எல்லை முறை அடுக்கும். So they've given the formula to how this has to come. So Asai Nilai is 2 முறை, and Porul Nilai is 3 முறை, Isai Nilai is 3 or 4. So they've given the formula to it. And what I thought was, if this was done hundreds of years back, that shows how well language was developed and how well the people who handled that language had an insight into words and how it has to be used. Now, I'm taking Tamil and Telugu as an example here to show verb reduplication, because the beauty of a lot of the languages, especially the Dravidian languages, is when verbs are getting reduplicated versus the other languages where mostly nouns are getting reduplicated. So Tamil and Telugu are very much like sister languages. So that's the reason why I'm taking them. Now, they say that when the verbs are reduplicated, it gives meanings which are emphatic, repetition, entertainment, irritation, and cordiality. Let's see, if I just read them out, you will figure that out. Like in Tamil, say. In Telugu too, say, which is an emphatic meaning. Like when we say, நம்ம அப்படி சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, அதுதான் emphatic. பாரு, சூடு, that is entertainment. போ, வெள்ளு, that is irritation. போ, அப்படின்றோம் இல்லையா, irritation. வா, ரா, that is cordiality. வாங்க, வா, அப்படின்றோம்ல, அது cordiality. குடி, தாகு, that is repetition. Like you want to say like we are in a hurry, you want to say that, you immediately tell them, குடி, தாகு, அப்படின்னாக்க you show them the hurriedness in it. And then again, when you go in depths of the verbs, like in singular imperative, when there is negative reduplication with singular imperative verbs, like in Tamil, pogade, po velludu, don't go, it's a command. And then in then seyyade, seyyoddu, that is don't go, which is a request. Varade, ravoddu, don't come, it's cautioning. So singular imperative verbs are capable, when they are reduplicated, they are capable of showing negativity and positivity. Let's go to the positivity in the next slide. But meanwhile, let's see the operative verbs. When they are reduplicated, they show, kind of wish, like valga valga. That's all you have to say. You just add ka to valga, it becomes valga valga, and it's an operative reduplicated verb. But whereas in English, you have to use the word may. You may live 100 years. May you be happy. You have to use the word may. But here, with just one little marker added, we can make an operative verb reduplicated and show that you are wishing them. Then infinitive verb, which is vinayacham. Again, here you show a various, what do you call, the emotions, like the intensity. Thonda thonda neer varum. Repetition. Seyya seyya palakkam varum. Continuity of action. Palaga palaga paalum pulikkum. Palaga palaga varum isai. Resultive. Oda oda virattinargal. கேட்க கேட்க அவன் தரவில்லை. நெக்லிஜென்ஸ் மீனிங். பேச பேச பேசவே மாட்டேங்கிறான். செப்பினா செப்பினா காணி விண்ணேலது. I just added the Telugu versions of it, which is exactly as similar to Tamil. But only thing is, you have to understand, in Tamil, if you see the phrase, பேச பேச பேசவே மாட்டேங்கிறான், அதே தெலுங்குல வந்து செப்பினா செப்பினா காணி விண்ணலேது. Here, பேச பேச is to speak. But cheppina cheppina in Telugu is to tell. Then negligence meaning kuniya kuniya kottinan, avar pesa pesa aluppu tattiyadu. Idella வந்து infinitive verbs which have become reduplicated to show various emotions that we can understand. If I say this to one of you all, you will immediately understand what is the emotion I'm trying to convey. Same way, more verbs here, verbal participle. In Tamil, பார்த்து பார்த்து செஞ்சா. That shows the intensity. பேசி பேசி தொண்டை வறண்டுருச்சு. That is causative. அழுது அழுது கண் சிவந்தது. That is resultive. விழுந்து விழுந்து உபசரிச்சான். Idiomatic. பாடம் நடத்தி நடத்தி பழக்கமானது. Habituality. So again, verb principles, participles, when they are reduplicated, they show more emotions. So basically, reduplication helps in understanding a speaker or their emotions. And similarly, a speaker is able to communicate better to the listener. More verbal principles here. Parthu parthu seidan. Same thing. Then you have மழை விட்டு விட்டு பெய்தது, discontinuity. துருவி துருவி ஆராய்ந்தான், continuity. கொடுத்து கொடுத்து சிவந்த கைகள், adjectival function. So I read a lot on all papers regarding reduplication with the languages that were spoken about in Peggy Morgan's book. But my general conclusion, I didn't want to make enough slides or do detailed slides because it'll be too time consuming and it'll just divert our attention. So my conclusion is that if we take Tamil as an example of a Dravidian language where verbs have been reduplicated, it tells me a few things. The language is extremely intrinsic. It is a very well-developed language. It is so old. The vocabulary is rich. The grammatical structure is extremely strong. So with the help of this, the people were able to beautify the language with more tools, and one tool being reduplication. And also, if there was no writing, just by speaking, I'm able to communicate using reduplications of Tamil verbs to the speaker, to the listener, on the emotional status of me, what I'm trying to convey, whether I'm angry, whether I am sorry, or whether I am happy, and lots more. So that tells me how rich the language is. And I want to quote here one of the anthropologist, linguist, Edward Sapir, who said that reduplication happens across languages, offering to indicate concepts of distribution, plurality, repetition, customary activity, size increase, added intensity, continuance. And this is all present in Tamil. Now, there is another set of languages that I was interested in. It actually triggered my interest was the Tibeto-Burmese language, which have a lot of reduplicated verbs too. But then what actually was interesting to me was that Tibeto-Burmese languages are spoken in an area which is completely cut off from the South Indian languages. They are surrounded by the Indo-Aryan languages, but they still have some similarities with reduplication with the South Indian languages. And the author, she says that these languages could be called as aerial universals. That means these language, they have their grammar, sounds, and words that spread across different unrelated languages, but whereas they have their shared ancestral core strong to them, if you can understand that. So their ancestral core is strong, but they pick up, grammar and sounds and words from other unrelated languages around them. So this would be interesting to see in future whether they have any connections with the South Indian languages. And then if you see a lot of languages that have been developed over commerce or merchant or people who have traveled from one land to another, you can say that they take common words, but they make them into very emphatic meaning reduplicates. Like in Sindhi, it says shadi wadi. Even in Tamil, we'll say kalyana kalyana, like உங்க வீட்ல ஒரு கல்யாணம் நடக்கலீங்களா, அந்த பையனுக்கு ஒரு கல்யாணம் நடத்தி வச்சிடக்கூடாதா. That shows they, in a very subtle way, they are asking, can't a good thing happen to that boy? Or why aren't nice celebrations are happening in your house? Same way in Sindhi, they say that when they say shadi wadi, they mean that it's a very expensive occasion, but yeah, you have to make it happen in your home. So these very subtle nuances are being transported through reduplication. And same way, there are cultural variables too that reduplicates can show. Like keel, like again in Sindhi, when they say keel, that means keep laughing, my time will come too. Like in Tamil too, we say siri, nalla siri. We can tell in our mind, we will say that, which means my time will come. At that time, I will show who I am. So such cultural variables are also being inclusive in how reduplicates are being used. So in short, reduplication is beautiful to any language. It helps us to convey emotions, a lot of cultural, habitual, customary nuances to a listener. And then if you write it, your writing becomes very beautiful. And this is what I understood regarding reduplication. And I hope you all understood too. Thank you so much. I have all my references here. And there are some amazing papers more. There are papers on Pashto, on Baluchi language. And, but basically they all speak the same. So whatever I found interesting, like the Tibeto-Burmese language and in Sindhi, and then how language that follows commerce or, in those merchants, how they use this, it was very interesting. Thank you.
Yes, Subhadra. கேட்க நல்லா இருந்துச்சு.
Very nice, man. நல்லா பண்ணிருந்தீங்க.
Thank you, sir.
The comment I'll make is the reduplication enables very efficient communication, right? That is a characteristic of a natural language.
Yes.
The reverse question is, this feature, I believe, is not present in Sanskrit.
It is not. Yes.
It is not, because it's in that table, chapter 4, where she compares these features. So in a natural language, it is expected to be present, like Englishlayum இருக்குது இல்லையா, ஆங்கிலத்திலையும், but not to the same extent maybe. But in a synthetic language such as Panini Sanskrit, it is absent because it's not meant for communication. It's meant for writing type of a thing, right? It's a much more elitist language. I just wanted to stop there.
Yes, yes.
Thanks for
So that's
Nella
what,
Panirthing.
oh, thank you, sir. So
Anyway,
that's what I
model.
said, the more I read about reduplication, it was more meant for speaking and conveying, and writing comes secondary.
Right.
So, so I was just amazed, like, Tamil has all these words. We don't need to borrow it from anybody. So even the modern translations we are able to make with Tamil words, we get to, like, disclaimer, you want to make it Tamil, you say poruppu, thurappu. You take two words, you immediately convey the message to the person. So same way here in Tamil, we take all these words, reduplicate them, and the emotions are beautifully conveyed. Like, for instance, I was just thinking even this morning while I was doing some other work, tingirathu is சாப்பிடுறது, right? So if you want to say, we can tell a person, வாங்க வந்து தின்னுட்டு போங்க அப்படின்றாங்க வீட்டில். சில கிராமங்கள்ல சொல்றாங்க, வந்து எங்க வீட்டில் ஏதாவது தின்னுட்டு போங்களேன் அப்படின்றாங்க, which is cordial. தின்னு தின்னு தூங்கிக்கிட்டே இருக்கிற, திட்டுறணும்னாக்க அதே வார்த்தையை டபுள் பண்ணி நம்ம சொன்னோம்னா தின்னு தின்னு தூங்கிக்கிட்டே இருக்க. இதே சோகத்துல சொல்லணும்னாக்க, அவருக்கு உடம்பே சரியில்லைங்க, தின்னு தின்னு தூங்கிக்கிட்டே இருக்கிறாரு. We can say that. So it is very beautiful to see how this reduplicate words can play games and work with emotions. So
இன்னொன்னு, நம்ம இந்த எதுகை மோனையும் இது கீழே வருமா, அது வேற கிளாசிபிகேஷன்,
அது வேற கிளாஸுக்கு போயிடும். ஸோ ஓனோமெட்டஃபோமியான்னு ஒன்று இருக்குது. அது சேம் இது. இப்போ நம்ம காக்கான்றது ஒரு ஒரு பறவை பண்ற ஒரு சத்தத்தை வச்சே நம்ம அந்த பறவையை நம்ம கூப்பிடுறோம். குயில குக்கு அப்படின்றத இங்கிலீஷ்ல குக்கு அப்படின்னு எழுதுறோம். ஆனா அது ஏன்னாக்கா அதோட சவுண்ட் குக்கு அப்படின்றத வச்சு நம்ம சொல்றோம். அது ஓனோமெட்டஃபோரியா. Could be classed into reduplication a little bit as a distant fact, but for me, from the real fact of what reduplication is, I felt நம்ம தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா அடுக்கு தொடர் and இரட்டை கிளவி, and இங்கிலீஷ்ல the reduplication. So
அதுலயுமே தமிழ் சிறப்பா ரெண்டா பிரிச்சு பார்த்திருக்கு, பாத்தீங்களா? இங்கிலீஷ்ல ஜஸ்ட் ரீடுப்ளிகேஷன் மட்டும்தான்.
ஆமா ஆமா, கரெக்ட். இல்ல, அது தமிழ் வர்ச்சுவல் யூனிவர்சிட்டி இதுல இருந்தா எடுத்தது. அந்த அடுக்கு தொடர்னு, நான் அடுக்கு தொடருக்காக வேற ஏதாவது இருக்குமா இதுன்னு பாக்குறப்பதான் இது வந்துச்சு. வந்தப்ப நன்னூல்லே எழுதியிருக்காங்க. இதுவும் அந்த காலத்துல சங்கம் இதுலே ஒரு கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஃபார்முலா கொடுத்து அதுக்கு அதை எப்படி எழுதணும்.
சின்ன ஒரு கரெக்ஷன். ஐ திங்க் டு மை அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் நன்னூல் இஸ் லேட் 12th to 15th century. It's not சங்கம்.
சங்கம்.
தொல்காப்பியம் இஸ் much older.
Yes,
correct, that's right.
Okay, then we'll make the change. It's nannul or 15th century la. Okay, but still, on the time le adukku
Of course, definitely, yes.
Pannadu was very interesting. So
அடுத்த ஸ்பீக்கர் நம்ம இல்ல வேற கேள்வி ஏதாவது இருக்கா? யாரோ பேச வந்தீங்க? நாகா, நீங்க ஆரம்பிக்கிறீங்களா?
Yes, பண்றேன். ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், தெரியுதுங்களா?
தெரியுது.
தெரியுதுப்பா.
ஓகே. ஸோ என்னுடைய டாபிக் நான் ஜஸ்ட் ஸோ கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஜெண்டர் அண்ட் கிளாஸ் அண்ட் போஸ்ட் பொசிஷன்ஸ் அண்ட் கன்ஜெக்டிவ் பார்ட்டிசிபிள்ஸ் இஸ் வாட் ஐ எம் கோயிங் டு கவர். And grammatical genders and postpositions, Sridevi gave a beautiful hints earlier when she described. So I'll go with the flow and I'll touch base what I have learned, and I have seen more similarities in her slides. Wherever I see, I'll just put a note and I'll skip. So first, so what is grammatical gender? So grammatical gender is a system in linguistics where nouns are classified into categories. That is what Sridevi also mentioned. And it is just a minute. Yeah. So it is most commonly masculine, feminine, and neuter. which affects the form of other words like articles, adjectives that agree with them. So this is an important rule in grammatical gender. Sridevi also highlighted with the adjectives. So acha ladki, acha ladka, sorry, acha ladka, achi ladki. She have given some examples, right? I have also some examples on that. I will come to that. But there is a one point which we need to be very clear on these grammatical genders. That is, this classification is often or mostly arbitrary and not necessarily related to real world qualities of a noun or the gender or biological gender. So basically, here there is an example, la maison, which is a house, and it is feminine in French, and les livre, the book, is masculine. So there is no need to put a masculine and feminine meaning to these words. But however, it's an arbitrary thing. Like arbitrary is a it means something that is based on personal discretion, whim, or judgment, or chance rather than reason or rule or principle. ஸோ தமிழ்ல ஆர்பிட்ரரி இஸ் அசைவு, இயக்கம் முதலியவை பிறவற்றின் கட்டுப்பாடோ விருப்பமோ இன்றி தானாக நிகழ்வது. ஸோ இந்த what I have learned in grammatical gender is இந்த grammatical gender classification வந்து அந்த இப்போ வந்து நமக்கு ஒரு நவுன் இருக்கு, ஒரு பொருளோட பெயர் இருக்கு அப்படின்னா அந்த பொருளோட நேச்சர், ஷேப் இதையெல்லாம் சார்ந்து இருக்காம அந்த அந்த லாங்குவேஜ்ல இருக்கிற பீப்புள் வந்து தன்னிச்சையா வந்து அதை வந்து கிளாஸிஃபை பண்ணாங்க. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து they put it into two different groups basically, and that group became feminine and masculine later. I'll come to that later, but it is actually தன்னிச்சையா நடந்தது. அதற்கு வந்து சில விஷயங்கள் வந்து இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து இருந்தது. ஸோ அதுல few things வந்து one is phonetics and another one is shapes and all that will come later. But it is not based on gender when it comes to classifying inanimate nouns. So this is just a small no difference between natural gender and grammatical gender. So natural gender, as we seen, it's a biological sex classified thing, and here gender classes. So here there is a term which they used is classes. So here they put it as gender classes, and we have other languages. Of course, Tamil doesn't have gender, grammatical gender. That is what is commonly known, but it is a noun class rich language, I would say, rather than gender classified language. And here it is not necessarily that the humane nouns, like whatever the nouns which are classified under human, it may not be in feminine or masculine. Rather, it can be neuter as well. So in the grammatical gender languages, so for example, in German, this word that means girl is actually grammatically neuter word. It is not assigned to masculine or feminine. That we can discuss later. However, in the natural gender, a girl will be classified into feminine. A dog can be classified into both male and female. So that is one thing. And arbitrary we have discussed. Let me skip the language dependency because it is more obvious that the natural gender available in all the languages, whereas the grammatical gender available to these specific languages, which are quoted here. I will give some examples in the upcoming slides. Okay, so the next thing is I have made my approach as what, why, and how. So what we have covered as what is grammatical gender. Now, why do languages have grammatical gender? This is simply to classify the noun groups. So languages developed a grammatical gender for various reasons, including historical evolution, phonetic patterns, and personification of objects. It helps with agreements in sentences. That's what we have seen in the previous slide. It agrees with the pronouns and adjectives and all. So that is making language structure clearer. It is not that the non-gendered languages not clearer. It is in different way, that is using noun classifiers, not the gender classifications. So why masculine and feminine names are given here? Just a minute, I know this. Yeah. So I said it is not gender oriented or biological sex oriented groups in grammatical gendered languages, but why they named it as masculine and feminine. So I'll skip this first paragraph. The second paragraph is more clear, so that I'll read that. So once the masculine feminine pattern existed in people and animals. So first they classified the nouns into the people, whatever language we take, they classify the noun into two different groups. One is people and animals. So the same endings and agreements pattern started to be reused for a lot of other nouns. So the people and animal nouns are classified into groups, and then whatever comes in the other nouns, which are forced to put it into either one of the bucket, feminine or masculine in this way. So that is why just a minute. Yeah, that is why the sound and ending patterns become strongly associated with one gender. We have certain examples. So, for example, in Indo-Aryan languages, as Sridevi have already highlighted, the ladka and ladki word is there. No, that is having some certain endings in the words. One is ladka and another one is ladki. That a and e words are classified into two genders by the humane nouns. So one is female and another one is male. So obviously the adverbs, which are adjectives, which are agreeing with the noun, that is ladka and ladki, are also classified into these two buckets. So similarly, whatever the inanimate nouns, for example, let's take, I don't have the example with me right now. In some languages, the chair will be put into feminine. The bridge will be put into a masculine. So in that way, that word ending sound is the key factor to put it into either one of the buckets, feminine or masculine. And if it is not they are not able to put it into feminine and masculine, they put it into neuter. So this is what the initial pattern of grammatical language, gendered languages. And later some languages drop the gender category in noun itself. The classical example is English. So no, until 500 years, so it has been 500 years that is abandoned the grammatical gender, and certain languages from Indo-European languages, they have transformed from three classifiers to two, feminine, masculine, neuter to feminine and masculine alone. That I'll come to that later. So we have that example in both Indo-European as well as Indo-Aryan. So here, how does the grammatical gender works? So as I already mentioned, it is actually just a minute. Yeah, it is agreeing with article, adjective, and pronouns. So referring, if the noun is feminine or masculine, all the adjectives, pronouns, articles also will follow the same way. So I had a big doubt in my mind when I started reading this grammatical gender. There is in French we can say that articles la and les, right? Les will go to feminine, la will go to masculine. So when I started reading about these concepts, why it is not there? We are saying Sanskrit and Hindi and all the Kashmiri, Marathi, Urdu, or gendered languages, but why it doesn't have the articles? So that doubt I had, but it's a very simple terms. Some languages are not at all having the articles. both the definite and indefinite. So Tamil is one. All the Dravidian, all the Indo-European languages, Indo-Aryan languages doesn't have articles, I believe. Maybe some exceptions will be there, but predominantly they don't have articles. That is why they don't have any, that la, le, or die, they, des in German, we have three classifiers that are all not there here. So, and it is not consistent. So that is what I'm trying to depict with this table. So if you see, let's take the book as an example. So book is masculine in Spanish, same masculine in French, but neuter in German and neuter in Sanskrit. So there is no single pattern, or in all the languages it is having same pattern. So what it depicts, so the concept is not concept of a noun is not classified into masculine or feminine, but the word and sound of the noun. So here, so if we see closely, we can see the pattern in masculine and feminine bucket over these languages, that I will come to that later. So okay, there is another example to know the this classification is not based on the shape or behavior of the noun. So there is a classical example which is mesa, which is mesa or desk, whatever we call. It is feminine in Spanish, but masculine in German, and in Italian it plays both the role because they have two different words for the desk. They have one word is il tavolo, that is masculine when it depicts in general. They have another word la tavola, so that is more of a feminine thing when it refers to dining table. So what it means, it is not concept or idea basis of nouns behavior. It is only based on the sounds of the particular noun or word. So in the next slide, I have put the articles for each of the examples. So I have given certain examples. So I have given the color codes as well. So this red color, wherever it comes, it is masculine. Wherever the green color comes, it is feminine. So wherever the gray or white is there, it is neutral. So it is not common. As I said earlier, in all the I have taken only the Indo-European and Indo-Aryan languages here. So as you see, there is no article in any of the Indo-Aryan languages. Let's starts from Sanskrit, Hindi, Kashmiri, Marathi doesn't have any definite or indefinite articles over here. But however, these Indo-European languages has Spanish, French, and German. So similar to the so the book can be el libro in Spanish, le libre in French, right? So similarly, so we'll be saying a book, an apple, like that we will say, right? That that article also will change according to the noun. So I have given few examples over here. So una is there, that is in Spanish. So similarly, I have given a few languages. So it is also vary with respect to singular and plural. So I have not done read enough on that particular thing, but I can put a note on that because we can go and learn about that as well, like singular and plural, how it affects in how it changes in the grammatical gender. I will go to the next slide. So as I already mentioned, there will be clue in all the languages to identify how the identification of gender is gender of a noun has been done. So there will be suffix and certain sounds of the particular noun. With that, we can identify that whether it is comes under masculine or feminine. But however, it is not universal across all the languages, or even if you take same languages, it doesn't mean a language will religiously follow that pattern. There will be some exceptions. So that exceptions I have given here. So one is la mano, which is hand. So in Spanish, just a minute. Yeah, Spanish. I have given that when it ends with O, mano, it will be masculine, right? But it is not the case for this particular word. So this is actually feminine. So there will be some exceptions will be there, but these rules will be followed predominantly. So historical and morphological reasons is yeah, many gender patterns are inherited from older languages. For Indo-European, it is no, it is derived from Latin. So Indo-Aryan, it is derived from Sanskrit. So for ease of learning, also people are using these classifications right now to understand whether no, I'm saying about the non-native people of the gendered languages, whoever is learning, because the gendered languages native speakers won't think whether it is feminine or masculine. They will just go with the flow. You know, it is embedded in their cultural and you know, in their mind to classify these genders of all the nouns apart from the uh, uh, animate nouns. Yeah, I have taken one classic example for that. So I have put an logo here, which is La Pongal, which is a indie folk, music troupe from Chennai. They have performed in 2012. They have started performing on it. Several popular music directors are now in India, Tamil industry are part of this. So they have named their band as La Pongal. So this La comes from French. So because Darbuka Shiva is a person who is a head of that a troop, I would say. Since he born and brought up in Chennai, North Chennai, and he has been closely associated with French and Pondicherry. He named their troop as La Pongal, and here interestingly that Pongal takes the feminine word according to the French. If you take la here it comes no the green color in the French column, so it depicts feminine idea of that particular noun, not necessarily the Pongal celebration or whatever it is falls under masculine or feminine. It is just a arbitrary thing, I would say. He just thought it is right to put la instead of lay. So it depends on the rhythm and harmony of that particular word and sound is there. I have another classical example for that in upcoming slides. I'll move to the next slide. So this we have seen already. I'll go to the next one. So this is some examples I have found from both Indo-European and Indo-Aryan languages. So this is here I'm discussing more about the adjectives, not the nouns. So here the adjectives are agree with the nouns. So let's take see sorry yeah, let's take the word handsome, or I mean let's not take that word. So let's take the interesting. So it's a adverb, right? It is having two different genders in gendered languages. Let's take French as an example. Interessant is what is this color? Yeah, this is masculine, and this is interessante is actually feminine. So similarly, wherever a adjective is coming to agree with the noun, that will take the genders. So this is one feature of all the gendered languages, which is not in the other non-gendered languages. But I would put the non-gendered languages into noun class languages rather than putting into non-gendered languages, because I mean the non-gendered languages having other aspects of it. So this is one example from Indo-European languages. Let's take the Indo-Aryan languages here. I have also given the same example here, if you can see. Ladka and ladki is the gendered nouns for boy and girl, I believe. And there is some adjectives that will agree with these nouns. So here it is acha and achi. One is for masculine, one is for feminine. Okay, so I have given few examples from other languages too. We can read it later. So this Purusha, okay, just a minute. Okay. Yeah, I will go to the next one. Yeah, this is some interesting topics which I came across when I started to read about these gendered languages. So French is being one of the gendered languages. It is calling the other country, and it is putting into either of these buckets, feminine, masculine, or neuter or neither. So if you see for a French person, if he sees India, he will see that I mean he'll not, of course he will not see it as a gendered thing, but he will if he wants to put articles to India or any country, he will directly put the marker as la instead of lay. That is because it is embedded in their mind, not because of any biological sex or gender concept. It is with respect to sound. I can explain that in upcoming slides. This is one thing. So similarly, Italian. So Italian is having some more complex gendered names, gendered concept for all the countries, like male and female, male plural, female plural is there. So similarly, it is having a complex thing in their language. Yeah, we will see the Czech from Czech country, how Czech language, how they see the other countries. If you see, you can understand some patterns here. Whatever the country name ends with A, India, China, Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Libya, all are put into, they have been classified into feminine classification. Where it comes to the other things, starts with consonant, ends with consonants. Iran, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Afghanistan. So these will be classified into masculine. So there will be some exceptions as well, as I already mentioned. So Russia and Greenland, Algeria and Russia and all ends with A, but still they were classified into neuter. So still I'm reading about it, but mostly it is because of the sound it delivers. Whatever the noun, whatever the sound it has, they can able to classify it into any of these buckets. So yeah, so that comes to my comes to the end of grammatical gender part. So what I did, I have put the linguistic families into these categories. So what I thought, so the languages, so I'll read it out. So grammatical gender system shows loss, simplification, and extreme complexity across languages. The same family contains languages that almost lost gender and other are still have rich and three-way systems or even more complex systems. So a classic example is English, that is now abandoned its grammatical gender feature. However, the languages which are from same language family, it is still having. So maybe some languages have lost from 3 to 2, feminine, masculine, neuter to only feminine and neuter. So Hindi and Urdu also come into this thing. Like they initially may had three three groups to classify the genders. Now it has only 2. So similarly, the languages which is having 3 still are German and Sanskrit. German is still follows the footstep of Latin, I would say. So Marathi Konkani still follows Sanskrit. So it is still preserving the both. Masculine, feminine, and neuter. So whereas we have other languages from other language families, which is like Bantu, which is a mix of African and Arabian languages, I believe. They have 10 plus noun classes. Here it is not classified as grammatical gender. We need to call it as noun classified languages, or it is having richer noun classes, I would say. It is more complex, it seems. I haven't explored it yet. So whereas we have other alternate systems, it is similar to the noun classes, Dravidian, Australian Aboriginals, Japanese, Turkish. That these are all Altec languages and Chinese. These are all having different classifications to group the nouns. So what I believe is even the gendered languages now are also might be having uh, uh, classes initially. So later they developed genders, I believe. So this is just my assumption. We need to study on that. So here, Dravidian languages are following rational and irrational. That is what Sridevi have mentioned. Uyardinai and Akrinai. Even in one of my slides, I have mentioned this might be the first genders. Classifications of nouns, I would say. After that, it is branched to different categories. Like rational will have feminine, masculine, and neuter, I believe, because we have in Tamil, right? Uyardine is having Anpal, Penpal, Palarin Pal, like that. A singular plural also is there. So this is what my thoughts on Dravidian languages. And Australian Aboriginals also having gender classes, not noun classes, not the noun genders. They use case or animacy instead of gender. So similarly, other languages also following. So Japanese also similar to Dravidian, I would say, but it has its own uniqueness to that. So they classify. If I remember, the verbs will fall into only. All the verbs will have only one gender. It is a gender neuter with respect to verb. இப்போ தமிழ்ல வந்து நம்ம ஆம், பாடுகிறான் அப்படின்ற ஒரு வார்த்தை இருக்கு அப்படின்னா பாடுகிறான், பாடுகிறாள், பாடுகிறார்கள், ஆம், இந்த ஜெண்டர் அண்ட் ப்ளூரல் வச்சு நிறைய நம்ம பில்ட் பண்ணிட்டே போவோம் இல்லைங்களா. பட் ஜாப்பனீஸை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஆம், பாடுகிறது அப்படின்னு நான் நினச்சிக்கிறேன். பட் ஒரே ஒன்று மட்டும்தான் இருக்கும். தட் வில் கம் ஃபார் everything, like feminine, masculine verbs, even the inanimate nouns, like um, of course nai padadu, but if at all they want to put one verb to inanimate objects, it will be all same only, but they have one classification. They have only one verb that will fall into two different things. That is டு பி டு பி இருக்கிறார்கள் அப்படின்னு தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லைங்களா. அது மட்டும் அங்க வந்து ரெண்டா போடுவாங்க. ஒன் இஸ் அரிமாஸ், இமாஸ். அரிமாஸ் அப்படின்றது வந்து இன்அனிமேட் ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ்க்கு, இமாஸ் அப்படின்றது வந்து அனிமேட் ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ்க்கு. ஸோ ஈவன் ட்ரீஸையுமே வந்து அவங்க இதுல போட்டுருவாங்க, லைக் அந்த animate போடுவாங்க. Okay, அது I have to read about that. But so similarly, Chinese or interestingly, Chinese is having no grammatical gender, but it is having rich noun classes. But those are all in written forms, not in the spoken form. This is one interesting thing I came across. Yeah. So yeah, with this slide, I want to conclude this grammatical gender thing. So these two diagrams are there, no, in the top. So if I give you two words to you, two gibberish words or nonsense words to you, I want to classify into two, assign one word to one object it will be interesting to see. Most of us will be choosing the pattern. We can see the pattern in our choice. So there is a study which is called as Boba Kiki effect. So if I am giving one diagram is Boba, one diagram is Kiki, I'm just giving you a pass to choose one word between these. One is Boba, another one is Kiki. You can I'll just take 10 seconds. You can just think through it and you can assign. One is Boba, one is Kiki.
The first one is masculine, the other one is feminine. That's the thinking.
Yes, that is there.
Yeah.
And with respect to the word, which is Boba, which is Kiki? Can you guess?
Kiki will be sharp star, and
Star,
Boba
yeah.
will be the blunted.
Yeah. Interestingly, most of the people are choosing in this manner only. So this roundy shape is assigned to Boba. This sharp object is assigned to Kiki. There is some study which is I have said right that sound of a noun, the the sound features of or the suffix of a noun plays a vital role in classifying into masculine and feminine. That is actually a secondary influence. That is what researchers think. So the first one is it is still arbitrary. So whatever the person, the native speaker thinks they can put that particular noun into either into masculine or into feminine. If their language is having neuter, they can put it into neuter if they want. So it is all programmed in their mind. But this sound thing comes into a picture as secondary influence. So this is one famous study on that. I mean, not with respect to gendered languages, but in general with respect to sound, how it relates with the actual meaning of an object across the languages. So that is Bauba Kiki effect. You can go and read about it. I think some Tamilians are involved in that, and they have done some researches on that in USA. So with that, I'll stop grammatical gender. Postpositions, I quickly give some idea because Sridevi have already covered it. Even I haven't spent much time in documenting this post position since it is more obvious in Indian languages, including Indo-Aryan and Dravidian. So a postposition is a grammatical particle such as a word or affix that is placed after its complement, usually noun or pronoun, to express relationship like location, time, and direction, or other semantic roles. For example, since I know some words of Japanese, I have put Japanese example. Tokyo ni, which means Tokyo virku. So that virku part will be post position. So in Tamil also, we are saying the same, Tokyo virku. So Tokyo ni, which means the same. So whereas in English, it will be to Tokyo. So it will be prefix. That is what Sridevi have mentioned. It actually influenced by the agglutinative nature of a language. So English is not agglutinative, and whereas all the Dravidian and the Japanese, since I know some, it is an agglutinative language. In the other hand, the Indo-Aryan languages also having postpositions that may or may not be part of agglutinative. I'll be coming to that in the next slide. So I have also taken the same example. Instead of languages, I have taken the family to cover in general on all the languages of the world. So this is it's a typical word order of these language groups, and whether it is supporting, I mean, whether it is comes into the postpositional or prepositional system. So here we are seeing the postpositional, right? These are all predominant to languages which are following SOV as well as the agglutinative feature. So there are some exceptions here as well. I think, okay, I'll come to that in the next slide. So here Yeah, to the agglutinative feature, we have exceptions. So Indo-Aryan languages are mostly fusional. It is not non-agglutinative languages, but it is a fusional agglutinative languages. In Tamil, ஒட்டு மொழிகள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். ஒரு ரூட் ஃபார்ம் ஆஃப் வேர்டு இருக்கு அப்படின்னா அதுல வந்து நிறைய சஃபிக்ஸஸ் ஆட் பண்ணி அதோட ஜெண்டர், அதோட சிங்குலர் ப்ளூரல், இது எல்லாமே வந்து மாற்ற முடியும். இப்போ நம்ம நிறைய எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் நம்ம அதுக்கு பார்க்கலாம். ஸோ இண்டோ-ஆரியன் லாங்குவேஜஸை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஐ பிலீவ் இட் மைட் the fusion might have happened due to the Dravidian root, I believe. So to the agglutinative feature I'm saying, but nevertheless, with respect to post-positional, both Indo-Aryan and Dravidian are all following the post-positional forms. So other things, other languages examples also I have given here. Let me move to the next one. Yeah, this is I have taken the scheduled languages of India, and I have taken some examples for the post-positional feature. I have taken only one example, that is which we already discussed in any of one of our videos, which is gar k, I believe. Hindi, where is Hindi? Yeah, garko, like wheat irukku அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லைங்களா? So that is common across all the languages. There is only one, I mean, as I said, it is the word order is actually influencing the post-positional, as Sridevi also have mentioned. There is one exception, that is Kashmiri language, that is following VSO pattern, but still still follows the post-positional. That might be influenced by the other languages which is surrounded by. So that is what I think. So yeah, that is it about post-positions. The next is conjunctive participles. I myself is not fully clear on that, so I'll just read the first what part alone, and I'll go to the example and we can close it off. So conjunctive participle is a non-finite verb form that connects clauses, typically indicating that one action follows or accompanies other. For example, Hindi, kar or k is added to the verbs or verb stem to form the conjunctive participle, as in padkar, having read. So here, okay, there will be several examples for that, how it actually, why it is coming. So one is expressing a sequence of events. He ate and left. சாப்பிட்டு விட்டு சென்றான். அந்த விட்டு அப்படின்ற அந்த வேர்டு வந்து it is actually playing a role of conjunctive participles, I believe. So similarly, there will be many words as well. So a few other concepts as well. One is show simultaneity, like he ran while laughing. சிரித்து கொண்டிருக்கும் பொழுது ஓடினான். அதுல வந்து இங்க போது, சிரித்து கொண்டிருக்கும் பொழுது அல்லது போது அப்படின்றது வந்து it is depicts, I mean, it actually conjunctive participle, and it is also a common feature across all the Indian languages, both the Indo-Aryan and Dravidian, but the word will change. Whatever the suffix we are going to add, right, that will change in all the languages. So I have given some example. The red colors are not clear because in internet I have seen these are all some example conjunctive participles, but I couldn't find the example sentence from these languages. But some languages are very clear. So Sanskrit we can take that twa. So that is coming after this verb, I believe. Yeah. Having eaten food, சாப்பிட்டு விட்டு, அந்த விட்டு அப்படின்றதுக்கு ஈக்குவலண்டான ஒரு பார்ட்டிசிபிள் இஸ் துவா ஹியர். ஸோ தமிழ், தட் இஸ் விட்டு. And let's take other Dravidian languages, which is Telugu, which is E. Tindi, Tinni, the Tinni, I is coming in Tinni, which is தின்னுட்டு சாப்பிட்டு முடிச்சு சாப்பிட்டுட்டு தூங்கினார் அப்படின்னு சொல்றதுல வர்ற இ. So similarly, Kannada also following the same sound, which is e, but here it is madi. Uta madi, nanu malagide அப்படின்னு they were saying. So similarly, if you see the other Indo-Aryan languages, you can find some similarity of these participles, like kar is used in most of the languages. Whereas in Magadhan part of languages, it is similar to the Dravidian languages, I or A or A. So that, just a minute, yeah. That comes to the end of conjunctive participles. So with respect to all the three things I have covered, which is grammatical gender, postpositional, and conjunctive. So what I believe with respect to the stability of that particular feature in a language. So I learned that this grammatical gender is a more stable thing in the gendered languages. It will not go for full change as soon, but if it is going for a change, or if it is decided to abandon, it will be a very big historical jump with respect to the nature of that particular language. English is one classical example for that. So it is a slowly changing feature, I would say, or no, rarely changing, we can put. So another one is post-positional. So the type is stable, which means that post-positional feature is stable, very stable, but the individual items can change, like the suffix, whatever suffix we are appending, right? It will be differ. Even if you take Tamil, the classical Tamil and current Tamil will be varying with respect to the suffixes or post-positional. So the basic is that system will be stable, but the words or individual items may change on top of it. So similarly, similar to the conjunctive participles as well, the form is very stable, but the functions and inventories changes the most in all the languages. So these are the three things I have noted in while reading about this. This is just one Google map I have prepared based on the data. I'll quickly open. Let me know if it is visible. I'll share again. Yes.
Google Maps is not visible.
Just a minute. Is it visible now? That map?
Above 3.
Yeah, I have collected the data for only to the scheduled languages. Later, I will be expanding it to languages from Southeast India, Southeast Asia, and Sri Lanka, and other the northern part of Indo-Aryan languages. Let's take the grammatical gender. Just a minute. Yeah. So if you take the grammatical gender, so it is morely sits with the map which was shared by Sri Devi. So if you see, all the languages are from South and Magadhan area are not having the genders, grammatical genders. And if you see the languages which are from the northern part or northwest part are all having a grammatical gender, but the number of group may vary, masculine, feminine, neuter. So here we have only 3 languages within the scheduled language. One is Sanskrit, another one is Marathi and Konkani. Sanskrit, of course, it will be coming in MP, UP, and Rajasthan. So I have taken approximate latitude, longitude to put it into map. So that is why it is coming here. Otherwise, it will be over there. So what I'm trying to say, these grammatical features are fading in Indo-Aryan languages, I believe. That is, the Magadhan languages are a classical example for that. So some of the languages are having, I haven't, yeah, lost. Which one? Yeah, Maithili used to have this grammatical feature, but it is not having right now. which means there is some strong influence from the Eastern languages, I believe. So similarly, post-positionals, all the languages are having post-positional. This is some weightage was given in one of the website. I've taken, but all the languages are having post-positional in India, so we will leave it as it is. So last one is conjunctive participles. So even this feature also is common to all the Indian languages, but however, the suffix will be vary with respect to the language family. If you see, all the southern parts are using either u or e ending words. If you take other northern Indo-Aryan languages, it will be mostly predominantly kar and k. And interestingly, the Magadhan languages are using A and E, which we need to study more in order to understand how this influencing the northeast part of languages, like why it is structure. I mean, somewhat is similar to Dravidian or other southern languages. So that is it. Yeah, that's it with respect to the presentation. If you have any questions, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Anyone has any questions?
Not really a question, but just a comment. I know in Tamil we don't have the gender difference with the noun. However, interestingly, if you look at the names of feminine figures, they mostly end in E.
Okay.
So, and Anvihiri is all usually with male, and E is a known popular ending for a female figure.
Okay.
Probably that's why they came up with the term Manidi in one of the movie songs. Manidan is Anvihiri, a man, and then Manidi is something that just like La Pongal, they thought Manidi would be appropriate wording for a female tense. So
Like
Correct.
Iறைவன்,
that's something to know. Raven, Ravi, Kilavan, Kilavi. And I also read somewhere that in old Tamil, Panbal was under Aharinai, and then eventually it ended up becoming Uyarvinai. So that's
Okay.
why Manvatti and Kilavi, they both have E ending.
Okay.
Something to dig into.
We'll read
yes.
it. Yeah. Thanks.
Maybe they evolved and
No,
cultured.
actually, Andamanis have a lot of your genders. Noun classes is lot. I think they have up to more than 9 or some. And so
Genders.
genders,
Oh,
noun
okay.
classes. So
Noun classes. Okay.
noun classes is what? So they differentiate into so many different classes. So it is the oldest, as per whatever we have read, it is the most oldest system of languages and tribal
Right.
languages we see. And Mundo also has a large number of classification, animate and inanimate classifications. The noun classes are a lot. So maybe I'm not sure, but this is what I got from whatever you said. So they have different classes. So the noun classes are
It
more.
could have been influenced by other things and eventually turned
Even
into something different.
whatever you are saying, like V, Vigadi, Iraivan, Iraivi could have been an influence from the Indo-Aryan. So it could be an influence also. I'm not sure, but just an.
Yeah.
Speaking of gender, just a small point. Dropping of gender has also occurred in languages. For example, England, prior to the Romans arriving, they spoke Celtic. When the Romans came and ruled London, that's around 1st century AD until 4th century, they adopted Latin. In fact, Latin had a big influence on the local Celtic language. In the 4th, 5th century, Anglo-Saxons came in, which is a Germanic tribe, which had a gender system, German, Indo-Aryan language. But then in the 10th, 11th century, the Normans came. They were French, but they had a different gender system. So finally, they decided by 11th, 12th century, let's drop the gender. So in English, you have nouns don't have a gender. So here is a classical case of three influences having an impact on the language. And I think similarly, this would have occurred in many other languages because in India, we have had different language influences, right? But I think the idea of natural genders seem to be very Dravidian because that is omnipresent all the way through all Dravidian languages. I'll stop there.
Naga, very nice. I have a quick, it's not a question, but just an curious question to you. In one of the slides that you showed, it said the Japanese had no gender, and it said they organize around politeness and honorifics. So could you give some examples just to explain what it is? If
That is a big thing, and they have all the verbs, nouns, verbs, everything classified into different honorific layers. If I'm going to talk to a person who is younger than me, they will be using different words. If they are going to talk to a person who is elder than them, they will be using different words. So words itself will change. Even the nouns also, they will be choosing the words based on to whom they are speaking. That is one thing. But I couldn't able to recollect the different examples because I'm learning only the honorific right now. So whatever I am learning right now, everything is textbook form, and it will be used as a honorific form. They have different honorific levels as well.
Okay.
For example, they will not use the word our, like they have certain anata is a word for our. Instead of they will be using anokata. So they feel that is more polite than this word. So
Okay.
similarly, they will be using that. So with respect to the gender, they don't have gender classification with respect to the nouns. So this is just that is just complex one.
Okay. No, but it was
Are there
interesting.
three-
Yeah.
Are there three levels of honorifics? Super hour, ordinary hour, and okay hour?
Exactly, sir. Exactly. They have interesting words for the levels. I will collect and I will share some other day.
Yeah, that will be very interesting. Please do.
Yeah.
It is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
ஆதிசனோ ஸ்ரீதரனோ இன்னொரு நாள் பேசுவோம் ஏற்கனவே
No,
ரெண்டே
it's
கால்
too
மணி
late for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் ஓகே உங்களுக்கெல்லாம் தூக்கம் வரலையா?
ஐயா கஷ்டப்பட்டு உட்காந்துருக்கேன். நீங்க வேற நான் 5:30 மணிக்கே எந்திரிச்சிட்டேன். ஸோ
ஆமா, இங்க வெளியில எங்களுக்கு ஸ்னோ ஸ்டார்ம் ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு இன்னைக்கு. இன்னையில இருந்து நாளைக்கு ஈவினிங் வரைக்கும். ஸோ நல்ல ஹாட் வாட்டர் அண்ட் இந்த டாக்கு இட்ஸ் வெரி நைஸ்.
மேபி யூ கைஸ் கேன் கண்டினியூ இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் டு. பிகாஸ் அவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் யூஎஸ்ல தான் இருக்காங்க. லைக் யூஎஸ் டைம் ஜோன்ஸ்ல தான் இருக்காங்க. நாளைக்கு கண்டினியூ பண்ணலாமா இல்ல அடுத்த வாரம் கண்டினியூ பண்ணலாமா?
நாளைக்கு I'm not available. It has to be next week.
Can
Next week.
Yeah, 20th is fine. Saturday.
ஸ்ரீதேவி ஏதோ சொல்ல வந்தாங்க.
Next week பண்ணலாம்.
ஓகே
நாளைக்கு நான் இல்ல.
சரி.
இல்ல அந்த பார்ட்டிசிபிள் சாரி
நெக்ஸ்ட் வீக் சொன்னோடனே லீவ் விட்ட மாதிரி ஆச்சு. ஸ்கூல்ல லீவ் விட்ட மாதிரி.
இங்க தெரியல 24th தான் விட்டுறாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் எல்லா ஸ்கூல்ஸும்.
பாமா அவங்க வந்து ஸ்கூல் விட்ட மாதிரி நீங்க செம தூக்கத்துல இருப்பீங்க போல. இல்ல நான் ஆக்சுவலா பார்ட்டிசிபிள் பத்தி சொன்னேன். ஆக்சுவலா அந்த எர்காட்டிவிட்டிலையும் வந்து ஷீஸ் மென்ஷனிங் அபவுட் திஸ் பார்ட்டிசிபிள், ஹவு திஸ் பார்ட்டிசிபிள் எச்சம் வினையச்சம் அததான் அவங்க சொல்ல வராங்க. அந்த பார்ட்டிசிபிள் வந்து எப்படி வந்து இட் சேஞ்ச் இன்டு ஸ்பிளிட் எர்காட்டிவிட்டி அப்படிங்கறத வந்து ஷீ இஸ் டிஸ்கிரைபிங் இன் சாப்டர் 3. ஆக்சுவலா இட் இஸ் வெரி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங். இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் யூ கேன் ஈவன் ரீட் இட் அகெயின். சோ இந்த செய்து விட்டு பார்த்தேன்.
Also, I think I don't know about other languages, but Tamil particularly, the basic understanding or belief is that it's a verb-oriented language. That's why we associated everything towards the verb. Tinai, Pal, Ennidam, Kalam, mostly it's all with the verb. So even பெயர்ச்சொல் கூட வினையிலிருந்து வந்ததா தான் இருக்கு. ஸோ சே எப்படி சொல்றது, கந்தன் என்றது கொடுத்து ஒரு பெயர்ச்சொல் மாதிரி இருக்கலாம், ஆனால் அது கந்துதல் அப்படி ஒரு வினை ரூட்டில இருந்து வந்ததா இருக்கலாம் என்றுதான் எல்லாரும் சொல்றாங்க. அதே மாதிரி நிறைய வினைச்சொல் ஓரியன்ட் பெயர்ச்சொல் இருக்கு, எனக்கு இப்போ உடனடியாக வருது இல்லை. ஒரு பாட்டுக்காரன் என்ன சொல்லிச்சுன்னா, பாட்டு பேஸ் பண்ணினவன் பாணன் பாடினவன் என்று சொல்லிச்சோன்னா அந்த பாட்டு தான் அந்த ரூட். அண்ட் தென் அந்த பாட்டுன்ற ரூட்டில் நீங்கள் வேர்ப் டிரெக்ஷனில் போயிருக்கல, தென் அதே தான். ஸோ த ரூட் இஸ் த வினை. தட்ஸ் something that I thought about. It could be true, it may not be, but again, further analysis can tell. But all these Indo-European, Indo-Aryan languages probably may not be. Maybe Aryan is also like that. I mean, Sanskrit.
No. I think yes, sir. Aya நீங்க சொல்லுங்க. I think you are saying it opposite.
நம்ம question and answer sessionல என்ன சொன்னாங்க, நான் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் எடுத்திருந்தேன். Dravidian language are noun centric ன்னு சொன்னாங்க இல்லைங்களா?
Yeah.
Right.
No, she mentions it in the book also. Dravidian languages are noun-centric, and in ergativity she explains Indo-Aryans are verb-centric.
Verb-centric.
That is why the Prakrits want to simplify the language, making the more verb-complex Sanskrit to a less verb-complex, and they are moving it into ergativity. That is what she's mentioning. So Dravidian languages are always noun-centric. Indo-Aryans are always verb-centric.
No, that's my presentation.
She also makes the argument, another Indo-Aryan languages, for example, English, the verb comes second, not last. Dravidian languages, the verb comes last. Abidinranga.
I don't know if I want to really agree, but we'll dig more. At least from what I have read and the comments that she had made, I don't know if she has enough familiarity with the Dravidian languages.
And I also had a little bit of thought along those lines, because I had a very detailed question. அதை அப்படியே brush பண்ணிட்டாங்க. Non-centric, she just brushed it off. ஞாபகம் இருக்குங்களா?
முகம், மூஞ்சி, அந்த
Right. There are so many words that அடுக்கடுக்கா போயினே இருக்கலாம். நான் கண்டுபிடிச்சது ஒரு 7-8 தான். அது இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் சர்ச் பண்ணீங்கன்னா ஒரு 20-30 வரும்.
Right.
But anyway,
But say for example, முதியவர் என்று நாங்க சொன்னா it's a பெயர்ச்சொல், it's a noun, but the root is முதுமை, முது. That's vinay, aging. So there are so many examples. Like I could dig up more, but I found it very interesting. That probably it's a common feature, but if you try to differentiate the two, maybe you can go the other way as well. But Kumara Guruvaran has a question, I think.
Actually, நான் இப்பதான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அட்டன் பண்றேன். நீ சொல்றது இப்படி வச்சுக்கலாம், அந்த உண்கிறதுதான் அது வெர்பு, உணவு, ஊன் அப்படி வர மாதிரி அப்படி சொல்றீங்களா நீங்க?
எங்கட வேர்ச்சொல் அனாலிசிஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா முக்காவாசி வேர்ச்சொல் வினையில தான் ஆரம்பிக்கும்.
நட அப்படிங்கறதா நடை, நடத்தல்.
நடந்தான், நடராசா. நடராசா ஒரு பெயர்ச்சொல். அவர் நடனம் ஆடியவர் நடராசா. நடனத்துக்கு ராசா, நடனம் ஆடியவர் நடராசா.
அதே அப்படியே திருப்பி சொல்லலாம்.
எப்படி?
அதே திருப்பி சொல்லலாம் இல்லையா? உண்பது உணவு, அதிலிருந்து வந்தது உண் அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம் இல்லைங்களா?
இல்ல, உணவு என்று வந்ததே உண்பதால் அது உணவு, இல்ல உண்ணப்படுவதால் அது உணவு.
இல்ல, ஆர் கேன் இட் பி லைக் இது வேற மாதிரி கூட இருக்கலாம்ல. அதாவது அந்த மார்ஃபீம்ஸும் வேற, சின்டாக்சஸ் வேற, அந்த இதுல அவங்க கூட சொல்லியிருக்கலாம்ல. த த ஆரிஜின் ஆஃப் வேர்ட்ஸை வச்சு நம்ம இப்போ பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம். ஒரு வேர்டோட ஆரிஜின் வச்சு தானே இப்போ நம்ம சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கோம். ஒரு
Mm-hmm.
வேர்ட் வந்து
Yeah.
எப்படி ஃபார்ம் ஆயிருக்கு.
Yes, yes,
பட்
yes,
ஷீ
yeah.
சேயிங் ஒரு சின்டாக்ஸ்ல வந்து இங்க வந்து நம்ம வந்து நவுன் சென்ட்ரிக்கா தான் இருப்போம் அப்படின்ட்டு. தட் இஸ் வாட் ஷீ இஸ் மென்ஷனிங் இன் எர்காட்டிவிட்டி. நவுன் சென்ட்ரிக்னு அவங்க எதை சொல்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, த என்டையர் சென்டென்ஸ்ல வில் ஆல்வேஸ் பி ப்ரிஃபரன்ஸ் வில் பி த அக்ரிமெண்ட் வில் ஆல்வேஸ் பி டு த சப்ஜெக்ட் அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. நவுனோட தான் அந்த அக்ரிமெண்ட் இருக்குங்கிறாங்க. ஸோ தட் இஸ் வாட் ஷீ இஸ் மென்ஷனிங் இன் திஸ் சாப்டர். பட் நம்ம இப்ப பேசிட்டு இருக்கிறது அந்த ரூட் வேர்ட்ஸோட ஆரிஜின். ஐ திங்க் ஷீ
இல்ல
இஸ்
நாங்க
நாட்
அதை
மச்
மாத்தியும்
இன்ட்ரெஸ்டட்.
சொல்லலாம் தானே. நாங்க வினை பேஸ்டா வச்சிருக்கிறோம்னு சொல்லி சொன்னா நாங்க வினையோட எவ்ரிதிங் அக்ரீஸ் என்று கொண்டு போகலாம். இப்ப
இல்ல இல்ல
நடந்தான்ன்றத அந்த ஆணோட அவன் என்று முன்னுக்கு வந்தா தான் அது சரி வரும். ஸோ வி ஆர் அ வினை பேஸ்ட்.
இல்ல அவங்க
Something
ஸ்ரீதேவி
to
மேம்
think
என்ன சொல்ல
about.
வராங்க, ரெண்டு வேற இல்ல வேற டாபிக் பேசுறோம்னு சொல்ல வராங்க நினைக்கிறேன். இல்ல ஸ்ரீதேவி
வாட் ஐ எம்
சொல்றாங்க.
சேயிங் இஸ் த அக்ரிமெண்ட். ஒரு சென்டென்ஸ் எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா எஸ்ஓவி ஆர்டர் இஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட். அண்ட் வாட் யூ ஆர் டாக்கிங் இஸ் த ஆரிஜின் ஆஃப் த வேர்ட். எட்டிமாலஜி பத்தி நம்ம இப்ப பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம். உண்பது இதெல்லாம் வந்து த ஆரிஜின் ஆஃப் வேர்ட்ஸ். நான் சொல்றது இங்க அவங்க சொல்றது எஸ்ஓவி அப்படிங்கறது அக்ரிமெண்ட், த ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் பிட்வீன் த வேர்ட்ஸை பத்தி தான் சொல்றாங்க. ஸோ அந்த இடத்துல நம்ம பேசுறப்போ ஒரு சென்டென்ஸ்ல நம்மளோட டிராவிடியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ் எப்பவுமே எதுக்கு முன்னுரிமை கொடுக்கும் அப்படின்னா, இட் வில் பி ஆல்வேஸ் டு யுவர் சப்ஜெக்ட். வி ஆர் ஆல்வேஸ் டு த சப்ஜெக்ட். சப்ஜெக்டோட தான் அந்த வேர்ப் வந்து அக்ரி ஆகுற மாதிரி இருக்கும். அதை தான் அவங்க சொல்றாங்கன்னு ஐ தாட். பட் நவ் யோர்
ஆனா அந்த ஈவன் அக்ராட்டிவிட்டிலேயுமே ஐ ஹேட் ரிசர்வேஷன்ஸ் ஆன் தட் ஒன் டூ. ஸோ she said Tamil is non-negativity, right? Is that right?
Correct.
Right.
ஆமா.
But அந்த passive tenseல you could still do that. சரி, நீங்க போட்ட எக்ஸாம்பிள்லேயே ஒன்று எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா you could completely change the Tamil and meaning will not change at all.
இல்ல passive voice is different and negativity is different. That is what she's saying.
Why? The meaning is not
I
lost.
think let's read the third chapter. She's very detailedly explaining how the past participle, the verb participle is getting changed, and she has given very clear examples. Like how the passive voice is getting changed into the finite verb is getting changed into a participle, taking along with a marker.
Yeah. In her North Indian languages, yes, I get it. But did she quote anything in Tamil?
No, Tamil we don't take any markers, right? When we change it, passive voice. Raman Ravananai konnan. Raman Ravananai konnan.
ராவணனால் கொல்லப்பட்டான்.
ராமனால் ராவணன் கொல்லப்பட்டான். அங்க அவ்வளவுதானே?
கொன்றான் ராமன் ராவணனை. அதுவும் சரிதானே?
கொன்றான் ராமன் ராவணனை.
Yes.
We don't. அதான் I saw that change is not agreeable in Tamil. You can check it. அந்த word order வந்து அவ்வளவு flexible கிடையாது அப்படின்னு it is given.
No, it is not. It's flexible, but we don't use that in செய்யுள்ல. அதுதான் முழுக்க இருக்கு. செய்யுள் பாட்டுல சங்க பாடலையோ அதுக்கு பிறகு வந்த ராமாயணத்திலேயோ அங்க போய் பார்த்தாலும் கம்ப்ளீட்லி ஆப்போசிட்டா தான் இருக்கு. ஆனா it is still agreed as a proper grammar. கொன்றான் ராமன் ராவணனை. கம்பராமாயணத்துல maybe you could find it.
Right. But வந்து poetry நம்ம we can't take. காரணம் வந்து poetry has got a lot of flexibility. அவங்க வந்து வேர்ட் ஆர்டர்லாம் ஃபாலோ பண்ண மாட்டாங்க இல்லைங்களா? அது எவ்ரிபடி நோஸ். Poetry is a very fluid. அங்கே போக முடியாது. We have to go to prose in order to try to understand these characteristics. நீங்கள் சொல்கிறது கரெக்டுமா? இது வந்து ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள் அவங்க கிட்ட கேட்டது வாஸ் ரியலி த ரூட் வேர்டு எடுத்துக்கின்னு நிறைய சொற்கள் கண்டுபிடிச்சோம். அவங்க சொன்னாங்க அது நவுன் சென்ட்ரிக் டிராவிடியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. ஆனால் நம்ம கேள்வி வந்து நீங்கள் கேட்ட சொல்லுதான் வேர் ரூட் வேர்ட்லேருந்து நிறைய நம்ம சொற்கள் கொண்டு ஆக்கிறோம். அது எந்த மற்ற லாங்குவேஜஸில் இருக்கான்னு கேட்டோம். நீங்கள் சொல்கிறது அந்த ரூட்டே வேர்பு தான் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறீங்க. அந்த டாபிக் she didn't go into. She didn't respond to that question at all. But that's an open topic anyway. For example, we discussed this நினைக்கிறேன். எனக்கு பழம் பிடிக்கும், right? There it is a dative, it is not considered ergative சொன்னாங்க. I mean, I mean, you can see references to it. அங்க வந்து instead of it being nominative case, it's in dative case, but it's not ergative because it's a modification of the subject இல்லையா? நான் பழத்தை சாப்பிட்டேன், நான் பழம் சாப்பிட்டேன், ரெண்டும் கரெக்டாக தான் நம்ம இந்த காலத்து தமிழில் அது ரெண்டும் கரெக்டுன்னு தான் சொல்லுவோம். எது கரெக்டுன்னு தெரியுமா? எது கிராமட்டிக்கலி கரெக்ட்? பழத்தை சாப்பிட்டேன்னு தான் கரெக்டு. பழம் சாப்பிட்டேன்றது இட்ஸ் நாட் ராங். நம்ம பேச்சு வழக்கில் நம்ம உபயோகப்படுத்துவோம் இல்லையா? அதனால் லாங்குவேஜஸ் சேஞ்ச். இந்த கோயிங் பேக் டு ergative, Toda language, as well as this language that's spoken in the mountains, has got elements of ergativity. இது வந்து we should explore this. அதனால தான் நான் வந்து one of the என்னுடைய இந்த talk when I gave it to the Tamil Research Association about 10 days ago, இந்த ட்ரைபல் லாங்குவேஜஸை நம்ம ஃபுல்லாக ஸ்டடி பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஆனால் அதை வந்து கம்பேரிட்டிவ் ஸ்டடி பண்ணல, இன்னும் நடக்கலை அந்த டாபிக் எடுக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். somebody must take that topic up because some of these tribal languages still preserve some ancient Tamil characteristic நினைக்கிறேன். That is my hypothesis. காரணம் total languages அது இருக்கு. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நீங்கள் பேச போகிறீங்க இந்த aspirative, the certain ish sound, right? It's present in total language. தமிழில் இல்லை, ஆனால் அவங்க லாங்குவேஜில் இருக்குது. So there are features that there's a lot of research work yet to be done. Anyway, before Bama falls asleep, அவங்க வந்து மூணினே முன்னாடி போயினே இருக்கிறாங்க.
ராக்கிங் சேர்.
என்ன டிசிஷன்? நீங்க தான் டிசிஷன் எடுக்கணுமா பாமா? நீங்க தான் கோஆர்டினேட்டர்.
இல்ல, அடுத்த வாரம் பாத்துக்கலாம்.
சரிங்க.
இன்னும் தொடர்ந்து இதே திருப்பி இவங்க 3 பேரும் ஸ்லைட்ஸா ஷேர் பண்ணாங்கன்னா இதை தொடர்ந்துமே இன்னும் கேள்விகள் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
ஸ்லைட்ஸ்ல போஸ்ட் பண்ணுங்க. நீங்க எல்லாரும் நிறைய வேலை பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க. You have done a lot of research. I bet all of you learned a lot more in preparation for this than you did before, இல்லைங்களா? That is the nature of teaching. That is the very nature of teaching. That's the advantage. And of course, I really was impressed with all of your work, but Sri was just extraordinarily impressive. அவங்க தான் ergativity queen பேர் வச்சிடலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Actually, now Vagisan's question is again, you have to raise. So it is again, you have to go look back. What is it actually?
இல்லை, இந்த questions are very important because இந்த மாதிரி கேள்வி கேட்கும்போது தான் அதனுடைய ரிஃபைன்மெண்ட் வரும் நமக்கு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங். அதனால கேள்வி கேட்கறது இஸ் ஆக்சுவலி a good habit. அது வந்து it's not a challenging because we're all equals in this platform. Nobody is a specialist. அப்படி தான் எடுத்துக்கணும். So
one thing that I always, sorry to interrupt, sir. One thing I always keep in my mind is இந்த Orientalism புகாம இருக்க வேணும் எந்த ஒரு டாபிக்கை நாங்கள் அனலைஸ் பண்ணிக்கல. So most of these definitions and all these structural elements that they have put around the scientific view of any domain that they do comes from the West. It never roots from the East. So if ergativity is something that they have analyzed in the Indo-Aryan languages and then tried to put that into Dravidian language, they will always have that lens. You should come bottom up from the other side and probably you will end up with changing the definition itself. That's my view.
முதல் படிக்கணும்னு சொல்றீங்களா?
100%.
இல்ல, வாகிசன் சொன்னதுதான் நானும் ஆக்சுவலா வந்து ஒரு 2 to 3 days வந்து அந்த டாபிக் நான் படிச்சுட்டு இருந்தேன். இந்த வேர்ட் ஆர்டர் வந்து இந்த வேர்ட் ஆர்டர்ன்ற அந்த கான்செப்டே வந்து வெஸ்டர்ன்ல இருந்து வந்தது தான். நம்மள வந்து எஸ்ஓவி பேட்டர்ன்ல வந்து நம்மள வைக்கவே முடியாது தமிழ்ல வந்து. ஏன் சொல்றேன் அப்படின்னா, நான் வந்து ஜாப்பனீஸ் கூட வந்து நான் கம்பேர் பண்ணி நான் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தேன். தே ஹாவ் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர். அவங்களுக்கு வந்து வேர்ப் வந்து கடைசியில தான் வரணும். தே ஹாவ் ரூல். They cannot use the verb in any other thing. Though they are also using the same as Dravidian. SOV ல தான் விழுகிறாங்க as per the Western idea. But Japaneseக்கு வந்து they need to use the verb at the end. என்கிட்ட அது கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லைட்ஸ் கூட இருக்கு. நான் அதுல இருந்தா ஒரு பாயிண்ட் நான் இங்க சாட்ல போட்டிருக்கேன். நான் படிக்கும்பொழுது எனக்கு என்ன தெரிய வந்ததுன்னா, எர்காட்டிவிட்டி பத்தி எனக்கு தெரியல, நான் அதை பத்தி நிறைய படிக்க வேண்டியது இருக்கு. பட் வித் ரெஸ்பெக்ட் டு த வேர்ட் ஆர்டர் வந்து தமிழ் சான்ஸ்கிரிட்டோட கம்பேர் பண்ணல. பட் கம்பேரிங் டு ஜாப்பனீஸ் அண்ட் தமிழ் வந்து மோர் ஃப்ளெக்சிபிலிட்டியாக இருக்குது. அண்ட் 6 லிஸ்ட் கொடுத்துருப்பாங்கல்ல ஸ்ரீதேவி, எஸ்ஓவி, விஓசி அப்படி விஓஎஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, அது எல்லாத்துலேயுமே வந்து தமிழ் ஃபிட்டின் ஆகும். அண்ட் தேர் இஸ் நோ ரிட்டன் கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் டு தமிழ் இந்த மாதிரி தான் இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு வந்து இல்லை. இல்லாத பொழுது வந்து அதை நம்மகிட்டே அந்த கிராமர் இல்லாத பொழுது நம்ம அதில் போயிட்டு வைக்கிறதுல எனக்கு ஒரு பிரச்சனை இருந்தது கம்பேர் பண்ணி படிக்கும் பொழுது.
சொல்லதிகாரம், பொருளதிகாரம், எழுத்ததிகாரம் அதில் எல்லாத்துலயும் இப்போ கடைசியில தொல்காப்பியத்துல இந்த எஸ்ஓபி ஆர்டரை பற்றி இல்லை. இட்ஸ் ஆல் அபவுட் மார்ஃபாலஜி.
நம்ம இதுல வந்து வேர்பே தேவையில்லை, இது மரம் அவ்வளவுதான் முடிஞ்சது,
இது எக்ஸாக்ட்லி
கிடையாது. ஸோ இந்த யூ ஹாவ் டு திங்க் a little. நீங்க சொல்றதுல நிறைய பாயிண்ட் இருக்குப்பா வஹீஸ், அதை நீங்க ஆரம்பிச்சு வைங்க.
சரி. Okay, we'll say goodbye for now and then reconvene.
நீங்க கம்மி
ஸ்ரீதரன் ஐயா ஏதோ சொல்ல வர்றாரு.
சொல்லுங்க.
I was doing some research with this topic. It was completely brand new from this. So அப்போ எங்க சர்ச் பண்ணாலும் இந்த இந்தோ ஆரியன், டிராவிடியன் இதே டெர்மினாலஜியாக போட்டு வந்துக்கிட்டே இருந்தது, தலைவலியாக இருந்தது. ஸோ ஐ ஜஸ்ட் செட் just be neutral. So when I asked the AI, it started doing neutral, completely neutral. So that then 4,500 years ago, what was the language? Then see, we can openly ask so many things to that, and then we can just come to an understanding where this. Then actually, it is telling really you don't want this. What is that? Indo-European terminology, that terminology, this terminology. If you remove all this, only then the neutral things you can take. For example, most of our mind is all North India means, okay, these two languages. No. After reading this book, you see that so many are there. In Nevar is there, Nepal is there, this language is there, that language is there, hundreds of languages there. So, Adumari, my suggestion would be like take one topic and then discuss like this for 2 hours. Organization. Yeah, can tell.
குவாலிட்டி ஆயிட்டீங்க. இல்ல அவர் என்ன சொல்றாரு, நம்ம இந்த மாதிரி பேசுறது நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்றாரு. இட்ஸ் a good idea. நம்ம ரெகுலர்லி ஆன் சர்டன் சாட்டர்டேஸ் ஆர் சண்டேஸ் இந்த மாதிரி ரெகுலரா
one topic, because all of us are putting efforts, but when we cramp for time, then we are not able to express properly.
Thank you for doing
That's
this
my
together.
suggestion.
I mean, this is definitely revealing a lot. I'm learning a lot, and together, I think we can definitely move forward much farther.
ஸ்ரீதேவி என்ன சொல்லணும்னு சொன்னாங்க, கை தூக்கி இருந்தாங்க.
இல்ல வினைமுற்று அப்படிங்கிற டாபிக்ல வந்து ஐ திங்க் வி கேன் சர்ச் ஃபார் திஸ் எஸ்ஓவி பேட்டர்ன். வினைமுற்று, ஏன்னா இட் சேஸ் தட் வினைமுற்று வந்து எண்ட்ல வர மாதிரி தான் போட்டிருக்கு. பட் லெட்ஸ் சர்ச் ஃபார் இட், லைக் எப்படி வரும் அப்படின்ட்டு. ஓகே, யா தேங்க்ஸ். யா பாமா, யூ கேன் க்ளோஸ் இட்.
Thanks.
It snows.
Thank you everyone.
இடையில ஒரு குட்டி தூக்கம் போட்டாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
யார் நானங்கய்யா? இல்ல. ஆனா என்னால கவனிக்க முடியல, அது உண்மைதான். என்னால கவனிக்க முடியல. Like we'll meet again next week. Vagisan and Sridharan, you have all the time. அது கூட சேர்ந்து நீங்களும் ஸ்லைட்ஸை முன்னாடியே கொடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா, எனிவே யூ ஹவ் பீன் ப்ரிப்பேர்ட், ரைட்? நீங்க 5 பேருமே ஸ்லைட்ஸை கொடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா நம்ம இன்னும் நிறைய கேள்விகளோட வரலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன். டிஸ்கஷன் செஷன் இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் எலாபரேட்டா வச்சுக்கலாம்.
இன்னைக்கு யூஸ் பண்ண ஸ்லைட்ஸை போஸ்ட் பண்ணிடுங்க, இட் வில் பி ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்.
அவங்களும் ஸ்ரீதரன் ஐயாவும் வாகிசனும் ஏற்கனவே தயாரிப்பாங்கல்ல, பயிர்ந்தாங்கன்னா வந்து நல்லா இருக்கும். சரிங்க, அடுத்த
வணக்கம்.
Thank you. Very good.
நன்றிங்க எல்லாத்துக்கும்.
நன்றி.